joining us for the day. I appreciate you for being here. We are live on the second account because, we got a 3-day ban on the main TikTok as per usual. Honestly, at this point, it doesn't even faze me. I'm so used to it. It's just another day. But anyways, everybody, let me take a drink. Let me take a drink of my water real quick. I appreciate you all so much for being here. We're going to go ahead and hop right into the debates. We're not going to waste or spare a moment. We're just going to hop right into the conversation. So for everybody joining us, I appreciate you for being here. We're going to go ahead and start talking to Trump supporters for the afternoon, see what the arguments are today. And by the way, there's a developing update on something cool that I may be doing here soon. So I've had an opportunity presented to myself to possibly go on like a major news network here in America. They'd even be covering my flights out to New York to be there in person, to sit down with somebody on the other side of the aisle and have a conversation with them on like a major news network. So folks, if this ends up happening, this is probably by far going to be one of the coolest things I've done yet, because we get to take these debates that have existed kind of in the alternative media spaces like here on TikTok and YouTube onto like a mainstream major news network. I feel like there's been a lot of quote unquote talking points that, the news pundits in the mainstream have kind of missed the mark on, or more things that they could be talking about, arguments that I wish were made more mainstream. And it looks like I've been finally given that opportunity. I don't know if it's going to materialize or whatnot. So that's why I'm not, giving you guys the name of the specific network. But anyways, you might see me on, that national TV here soon. So that'd be really cool. That'd be really cool. But we are going to go ahead and hop right into the debates, y'all. So if you are watching and you support Trump and you're at least 18 years old, I want you to go and put MAGA down below in that comment section with your age. I'm going to get you pulled up here. And yes, no, this is not pre-recorded. This is the real Dean. I know it's just probably something that you guys are not used to seeing since we're on our backup account. Hello, welcome in, AJ. Do you support Trump?
Yeah,
How old are you, man?
I am 20.
You're 20. You're the same age as me, bro. How does that make you feel?
I mean, I don't know how to feel, man. We're just young.
Right, AJ, I'm going to go and start the live over on YouTube. Give me around 30 seconds here. We'll hop into our debate shortly. Hello and welcome into everybody tuning in on YouTube. It is so good to have you in here with us for the day. As always, we are on the 142nd episode of One Liberal versus 100 Trump supporters, where we sit down for 4 hours a day, every day, to talk to people on the other side of the aisle. We had our first Trump supporter named AJ loaded into the box, but he got scared right as I was starting the YouTube stream and left. I mean, every other day or so, we have somebody do that. I think that they kind of get, they get a little bit scared once I start what's recorded over on YouTube compared to what's only live on TikTok. But we're going to try to get that next Trump supporter up in here, everybody. Just give us a moment. Cheese, welcome in. Do you support Trump?
Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and ask you how that applies to your political views. Are you a Trump supporter?
Give your life to the Lord before it's too late. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life.
With a yes or no answer, has Trump gave his life to the Lord? It looks like he's left, so let's go to move on to the next guest, Maddie. All right. That kind of pisses me off, when people do that. It just kind of annoys me. It's cringy, when they like intrude upon a space, to say that shit. And I honestly, I don't even have that much animosity against, people that want to that spread their word in their scripture either, as long as it's not intruding upon the time or space of others. Like I had two like Mormon bros come up to my door the other day, to, like spread their word and whatnot. I ended up talking to them for like an hour, and they've invited me to a Mormon service. And I think I might even go with them. I'm not even joking. I kind of want to check it out, learn more about the LDS. But so, no animosity there. It's just annoying when they kind of do it that way. Welcome in, DD. Do you support Trump?
Yes, I do.
All right, man. Well, let's go ahead and hop into the discussion. I'm going to let you take it away, man. Tell us why you support Donald Trump, who I view as the worst president of either of our lives.
Okay, so my thing is like, if you have Kamala and Trump, you're obviously voting for a better like surrounding group too. You know what I mean?
Do you mind if I quickly ask you how old you are?
18. I just turned like April 1st.
Okay. All right. We'll go ahead and take it away. Continue.
Okay, so like, whenever you vote for someone, you're gonna have a supporting cast behind them, and I think I support Trump's a lot more than I do Kamala's.
Okay. Why? What is an accomplishment of the
Can I go
Trump
over my
administration?
reasons or no?
Yeah,
I support his
I'm asking you for those
order.
reasons. Like what is the administration done that you're a big fan of?
Okay. Well, I like JD Vance a lot. I liked his Vivek before he left, right? I like obviously Rubio, like they just have better like people, and I think the Democrat side usually does have. Another thing
Okay,
is
well,
border
let me ask you a
security.
question real quick about those people. So, what is he using those people to do? You know, because like as far as what I've seen, you know, it kind of seems like a lot of the people that he's brought on board are pretty incompetent. You know, like the head of the I forget his I forget his official title, but basically helps run the DoD. Pete something. I mean, he has a very forgettable name and face. You know, but I mean, he had 2 Signal group chat leaks. You know, other people on his administration have been bowing the knee to kind of do whatever and say whatever he wants. Like his AG, Pam Bondi, has been like launching, you know, very, very baseless attacks on Obama to distract away from the Epstein files. You know, same thing with like Caroline Levitt, his press sec. I mean, she sucks. She can't even answer questions. I mean, the one thing that has really stuck with me from the last press conference of hers that I watched was when a reporter explicitly asked her about the fact that Donald Trump lied about his grandfather, telling him when he was younger that he taught the Unabomber. And then she was very specifically asked about that, and she very much so pivoted and dodged the question. So I don't even really know if his cabinet is too up to par. But my question would be, you know, how has his cabinet benefited you? How has his cabinet benefited America? What are they doing for this country to further it in the right direction?
I think like you can tell by like the grocery store prices or even like gas prices. Like where I live, like okay, I'm on the southern border of Texas, right? So, I've seen gas like it was at like $6 at one point, and that was during Joe Biden and Kamala. And right now it's that's like $2 now. You can tell
Right. No,
inflation is
dude.
going lower.
Dude, how has Donald Trump dropped the price of your gasoline by $4 a gallon? Please tell me. I gotta know.
Isn't that not through the tariffs and as well as
How
like
would tariffs? Wait 1 second. I think that we need to explore that idea. How would tariffs, which reduce imports and make the imports we do get more expensive, make gasoline less expensive?
well, because you import and export gas. That's how that works, no?
So we import gasoline and oil, we export some gasoline and oil, but how would a tariff make the gasoline and oil that we consume less expensive?
Well, the whole thing is like okay, a tariff, right, is when you impose, like, am I right? Or can you go over a tariff really quickly?
No, I want you to tell us what a tariff is because you're the one telling us that those tariffs make the gas less expensive. You told us that the tariffs dropped the price of your gas by $4 a gallon. So can you tell us what a tariff is?
Okay, well, it's because whenever you impose a tariff on another country, that means
Go
that they have
quickly. Can you tell us what a tariff is?
okay, I don't have the exact definition. I know you're gonna like
Could you
pick
give
me
us
for
like a
that.
loose definition?
Okay, my loose definition is right, is like whenever you put money, like, or not put money, but you require money to be like, or you have, what is it called? Like a, not a barrier, but like, of, how would I like say it? Like, that's what I'm thinking of.
Well, I'm not quite sure how you'd say it. That's why I'm asking you.
You got me good there, Dean. Oh, um, can I go over, okay, you're gonna get mad at me. Shit.
Well, I'm just still curious how you think that tariffs have reduced the price of your gas by $4 a gallon. So you haven't been able to tell us what a tariff is. That's fine. We'll ignore that. Just tell us how you think they've reduced the price of your gas. I mean, I'm not
Okay.
sure how you could do that without knowing what a tariff is, but apparently you do. So I'll just, let's forget about the fact that you don't seem to really know what a tariff is. Just tell us how you think they've been able to reduce the price of your gas by like $4 a gallon.
Okay, because whenever you impose tariffs on another country, then like we're basically what financially locking them, right? And then they'll have to bend to us, the U.S. to
Okay, so something about tariffs make other countries bend to us. Now, connect the dots between this concept that you got and cheaper gas for Americans.
has the gas not lowered? You're making it seem like it's not like lowered
Well, I mean, I
gas.
think that we've seen gas go up and we've seen gas go down. I think in the last month or two, it's gone down its national average, but you're attributing a massive reduction in the price of that gas to tariffs. And I just, now I want you to connect the dots. So I asked you what a tariff was. You weren't really able like to clearly tell us what a tariff was. So then I asked you how the tariffs have been able to reduce the price of your gasoline. Then you told us that they somehow make other countries bend the knee to us. Now I'm asking you to connect the dots between that concept that tariffs, even though you don't really know what they are, make other countries bend the knee to us, even though we don't really even know if that's true. And how this concept that you have in your brain has caused the price of your gas to significantly be reduced.
Okay, because tariffs like don't they put like they tax the imported goods, right?
There you go. And how is taxing imported goods reduce the price of your gasoline?
Because that means that other countries will have to, like how do I put this? Like they have to like they don't want to be in a financial war with the United States is what I'm trying to say. Like
Okay.
the right?
So other countries don't want to be in a tariff war with America. Therefore, your gas is less expensive. I'm still not seeing it.
Okay, but like think about like all those like Arabian countries, right? That like import gas over here, and
Oh,
even like
okay,
Texas.
a lot of like countries, like in OPEC in the Middle East that send gas into America. All right, what does this have to do with the tariffs, and what does this have to do with your gas being less expensive?
Okay, because they don't want to be having the taxes on importing their goods here,
Okay,
right?
so
Because then it's
countries in OPEC don't want tariffs on them, and how does this connect to your gas being $4 less expensive?
because then they'll start to sell it for cheaper, no? Isn't
Oh,
that and then that's what
so
the
okay,
taxes do around?
okay. So the theory is that OPEC has started to sell
'Cause-
us
right.
their oil for cheaper because of Donald Trump's tariffs. So where are you getting this from?
Well, right now isn't the gas cheaper? And on top of that,
So,
like
like I said, then like the national average of gas in the last month or two has gone down. I don't think that this like necessarily implies that therefore OPEC is selling us less expensive oil because of Donald Trump's tariffs. That's a little bit of a really crazy assumption. You know what I mean, man? You're like really jumping through some hoops there. Like you've come up with like this grand scheme of like this intricate plan and plot of how you think things have played out in the last 170 days of the Trump administration, based upon like the single fact that in the last month or two, gas has become less expensive.
okay.
So, I mean, can you
I-
give us any like external sources or data to show us that, you know, because of a threat of tariff or an imposition of tariffs, that therefore OPEC has reduced the price of the oil that they're selling to this country to hopefully have Trump alleviate the tariffs that he's imposing on them?
Okay, but we're not using tariffs anymore.
So we're not using tariffs anymore.
Yeah, isn't that called off?
So then
like it
why is your
helped-
gas still cheap? Because didn't you say it was a tariff that was making it cheap?
No, wasn't it like we threatened kind of not like threatened, but like
So
what
how
I
do you
mean?
know
Like,
that a threat of tariffs was able to reduce the price of your gas?
they reduce the price of like a lot of things, no?
How do you know that a threat of tariffs have reduced the price of a lot of things?
Because isn't that like how economics works? I don't know.
So you don't know. Okay. So I think that's a good point where we finally gotten to. I've been asking you a lot of questions over the course of the last 5 or 10 minutes because I've wanted to get you to a point where you said, I don't know. I wasn't trying to be disrespectful. I wasn't trying to be demeaning. I was simply trying to get you to that point
No, I'm very
where
respectful
where,
of you
where you
being-
said, I don't know. So no, right? I think that you have assumed, right, these like trivial economic theories to explain away and to justify why you support the Trump administration by very loosely connecting dots of data that you might have a very low level of understanding around. You know, like earlier in this conversation, you know, you struggled to even tell us what a tariff was, but apparently we should take you for your word when you say that Donald Trump imposing tariffs or even like threatening tariffs has been able to reduce the price of gas and many other goods in this country. I think that it's probably a good idea for you to get back to the drawing board to explore
Okay.
more research
I have-
and gain more knowledge about these economic things before you speak on them. And I mean, I'll tell you why we've maybe seen a little bit of a reduction in the price of gasoline. It's because during the first quarter of this year, you know, we were barreling towards a recession. Imports were up by 44%. The stock market was crashing. The GDP was down. Consumers were less confident. And when we had those crashes in the market, well, those also extended to future markets, including future markets of oil. So when the future markets of oil crashed, people were able to buy thousands of barrels of oil from the global supply for very cheap prices. Now, of course, those markets rebounded when he revoked the threat of the tariffs, and we were no longer barreling towards a recession. But we are still now using those barrels of oil to sell to the end consumer, meaning that temporarily we can expect lower prices. Now, this isn't really a good thing because it's a recession indicator, and I'm happy that he walked back on those blanket tariffs. And one other thing I wanted to respond to here is you told us that tariffs reduce the price of things. No, tariffs increase the price of things.
No, yeah. But
They
after
increase the
once-
price of goods produced in other countries.
Okay, that meant like after them. Like it was like a threat of tariffs. It wasn't like necessarily the tariffs. You know, you said how at the beginning of the year, it was looking downwards, and then it went back up. That's what I'm saying.
It,
But like,
it, so this actually was necessarily the tariffs, the imposition of them on April 2nd, Liberation Day tariffs. When those
and
were imposed, we saw the major crashes, which led to very inexpensive oil in the future markets.
okay, can I have another point? I like the border security a lot better.
Okay, do you want to respond to anything I just said?
No, I'm not gonna lie, Dean, you got me on there.
Okay, you like the border security? What has
Yeah.
Donald Trump done for border security?
You actually okay? So I don't know if you know this, but I'm pretty sure during the Obama administration and the Biden administration, we were doing the exact same thing. Matter of fact, you always hear about the cages in the Obama administration being at the border.
You're not
Another-
answering to my question. My
What do you
my,
mean?
my question for you was, what has Donald Trump done for border security?
Okay, well, he's like strengthened. He sent more, especially like in the state of Texas. I've noticed like
Sit more
there's,
what?
there's less crime around here.
There's less crime. What percentage of crimes do undocumented immigrants commit?
I wouldn't know the exact percentage.
One, and it's disproportionate to the representation in the overall populace because they are 2.5 times less likely to commit violent crimes than natural U.S. born citizens. If you want to fix crime, you should probably focus on another demographic. Let me ask you a question: what demographic of people in this country commit 90% of all violent crimes?
Is this like a trick question? I feel like it is.
No, the answer to the question is men, right? So, I mean, if you want to fix an issue of crime, we should probably explore why men commit 90% of all violent crimes in this country, right? And you haven't done that. It looks like Trump hasn't either. Trump has actually pardoned some of those violent men, like DJ Rodriguez, who drove a stun gun into the neck of a cop on January 6th, and a handful of other J6 quote-unquote patriots that bashed the heads in of cops attempting to murder them. So I don't really like it when, you'll create this image of undocumented immigrants being so violent and so criminal, when in all reality, they're significantly less likely to commit any and all crimes than citizens. And the real issue that we need to be focusing on as a country is probably the fact that men commit 90% of all violent crimes.
Okay, but what about the drugs that are being brought in?
Well, I'm not even sure that you could say that word. Just spell it out. Say D-R-U-G-S.
Oh, my bad.
I don't.
DRU.
Yeah, Donald Trump certainly isn't doing anything about that.
Well, it was like it's way better than it was during the Obama. I think better. They had more people actually getting sent over the border, back, and then they would do the catch and release, right? Which is when they would just come right back.
Undocumented immigrants. So my question for you is, what percentage of DRUGS brought into this country across the southern border are brought in by citizens?
Do you know the exact percentage on that?
I do, 85 or 90%. Wow. Has Donald Trump done anything to crack down on the citizens bringing DRUGS into this country? Absolutely not. He's never even talked about it.
Would it not be hard to have a percentage on that because they're undocumented though?
I'm pretty sure that data is reliable. It's been tried and true and upheld by partisan groups on both sides of the aisle for years. So I mean that's a pretty accepted fact.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you, Dean. I was trying to be like really respectful with you, especially because like yesterday, or was it? I was on the live with Santana the other day, and I was in line, and then you kicked me the first time because you wanted to like respond to a troll. So like that happened, but.
Well, I appreciate you for coming up, and I hope you have a good rest of your day, man. We're going to move on to the next Trump supporter. Here we go, everybody. Also, Christian, welcome in, man. Good to have you in here with us. We're going to move on to the next guest, Mr. Michael. For the meantime, for everybody on TikTok, guys, make sure that we're double tapping on that phone screen and sharing out that live. For everybody on YouTube, I appreciate you for being here. Welcome in, Mr. Michael. You got that MAGA profile picture on with a hat that says "Make America Great Again." Pretty cringe. Do you support Trump?
Hey, Dean.
Very good. Moving on to Maddie. Here we go, everybody. Also, y'all make sure that we're double tapping on that phone screen. Wait, I literally just said that. Jesus Christ. I'm sorry, guys. I'm repeating myself like a broken record. There's like a handful of statements that I utter so often every day that they're just like burned into my brain. Like, make sure you're double tapping on that phone screen. We're only looking to debate Trump supporters.
They're just like burned into my brain. Like, make sure you're double tapping on that.
Very nice echo. Like those statements are literally like, dude, they're like solidified in my head. Like I go to sleep at night, like thinking about y'all double tapping on that phone screen. It's pretty rough. Welcome in, Journey. Do you support Trump?
Dean, I love you.
I appreciate you for the love, but we're only looking to talk to Trump supporters, so I'm going to have to remove you. Moving on to the next guest. Here we go, everybody. Go ahead and put a Maga down below in that chat with your age. See, that's another one of those phrases that's just burned into my brain. Sounds like I'm rapping because of how fast I say it.
I'm in.
Looks like we got two people, Mr. Dylan and Mr. Kent. Mr. Dylan, how old are you?
Yo, Dean. I just gotta say something real quick, bro. Yo, I just want to take a political break.
How old
Show
are
you
you?
my Honda Civic.
Very nice Honda Civic, man. Mr. Kent, how old are you?
19.
19. Jesus is king. You know, I bet you're gonna be a great, nice guy. You know, Mr. Kent, take it away. Why? Don't tell me you're a Trump supporter, right? With that bio,
Yes, of
being a good
course.
Christian. Oh, unfortunate, man. Unfortunate. Take it away. Why do you support such a terrible president? You got my attention.
So, to begin with, to just harp on that guy that was talking earlier, he's an idiot. I don't know what he was talking about with the tariffs. That's so stupid.
Let's be kind to our guests. You know, we're supposed to turn the other cheek. You know, be
Well,
kind.
he misrepresented the Trump supporters for sure. We're not all that dumb. But so basically, the main reasons why.
You're on pause, man. When you leave the live, I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry, my bad. The main reasons why the oil prices specifically have dropped in the last 5-6 months is one, Trump has made like specific what would you call it, specifically important for OPEC to produce more oil, and as you would know, more oil means lower prices, supply and demand. That's very obvious. Okay, so that's one of the main reasons why. But on top of that, he settled the war in the Middle East, which makes lower tensions, makes more production. That's a very easy thing to read into. I don't really know where you're getting on the barrels per day. I've never read that in any economic, whatever you call it, opinion. But those are two big reasons: Middle East tensions and him forcing OPEC, or not forcing, but increasing supply on OPEC when he went and met with them in the Middle East. So,
yeah, when he met in Saudi Arabia, I mean, I never read anything about a deal to increase the output of OPEC.
It's not a deal.
Okay. So if it wasn't a deal, then how do we know that he was able to get OPEC to increase their supply?
Okay. So it was actually just, hold on. I was just reading this. Wish I had like multiple screens like you. That'd be way easier.
Yeah. You know, something else that's important to consider here is that if, you know, OPEC is making more oil, OPEC is selling more oil, this would mean like an increase in our imports, right?
Not necessarily. No.
Yeah,
No, that's not
necessarily, because all like yes. That
No.
is what it
Okay.
means.
So all right.
What are you talking about?
It's a very simple economic idea. Okay. If they have more oil, if they have 1 billion barrels of oil in their supply, it's a lower price per barrel. That is the supply and demand relationship. It costs them money to have the barrels on hand. So yes, not necessarily. We do not have to raise imports to have the same prices.
Right,
lower.
because oil imports have fallen by by a whole lot.
Doesn't matter. That does not matter at all. Actually,
they're still importing more at lower prices.
Yes, that's exactly what that means.
Right. But if we have a massive, you know, we also know about supply and demand in the domestic market. If we have a massive reduction in their imports of oil, then the domestic supply of oil is higher or lower.
You're saying like internally. You're saying the oil in America.
The domestic supply of oil in America, is it higher or lower if we have lower imports?
I don't know. I haven't looked into that. I would assume it would be higher.
No, it'd be lower. Right. That's why we saw very sharp increases in the price of gasoline in America when Russia started ethnically cleansing Ukraine. It's because we sanctioned Russian oil. We cut them off. We stopped importing their shit. We became a net exporter. But the impact of this on Americans was higher gas prices. Same thing with the deal that Trump was able to negotiate with OPEC in 2020 to get them to reduce their output by 10%. Now, about a deal in his second term to get OPEC to produce more, I certainly haven't heard anything about that.
It wasn't actually a deal.
Told us earlier that they did. Okay, so there's no deal.
So it was a diplomatic pressure. It wasn't any sort of deal that they made, but
a diplomatic pressure on January 22nd when he just straight up asked them to slash their prices, right?
Yeah, I will say, and you should be able to attest to this.
You know,
Trump is a very demanding presence, and as our president, I mean, look at just the difference in respect between how they treated Biden and how they treated Trump. Most
Oh
countries
man,
are
I don't
actually
think
scared
anybody.
of Trump.
I don't think anybody respects Trump more than
I
Biden.
actually think every one of the presidents respect Trump more. I mean, look at the deals that he's made with all of our should be friendly countries, and Biden could never have done that. I mean, that's besides the
Alan,
point.
thank you so
That's
much for
just
the $10 over on YouTube Super Chat. Yeah, I mean, I find it just very difficult to believe that other countries are going to respect a delusional fascist, civilly held liable rapist.
no.
They
Please
allow-
explain to me what fascism is.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I typically define fascism in accordance with the 14 tenets as described in the literature. We could go over those 14 tenets, and we could see a sufficient combination applying to Donald Trump. We could take some time and do that. However, I would hopefully like to assume that the time will take to go through those 14
I'm just going to
tenets of
explain to you
fascism
what fascism
and
is.
see how they apply to Trump can be something that we do after I finish what I started to say before you interrupted me. Does that work? Like, because I was like hopping in there to say, I don't think anybody's gonna, like have more respect for delusional fascists with like zero brain cells that is passing policy in our own country to redistribute wealth from the poor to the rich while concealing the fact that he's been on the Epstein file since May. And then you interrupted me like midway through that sentence to say, well, what's fascism? So I think hopefully, we could have both of those two conversations, just like not at the same time, so we don't just get absolutely lost in the sauce, So can you respond to what I said there before we like have a conversation about what fascism is?
I will say, hold on, before you continue on, if you keep pandering on around your ideas and not getting straight to the point, no one's going to believe what you have to say. Okay, you have to get straight to the point. Just say what you mean. Fascism, say what it is. Go.
Okay, you asked me what fascism is. I told you that typically I define fascism in alignment with the 14 tenets as described in the literature, but it could be typically understood as like a far-right authoritarian, ultra-nationalistic political ideology. Like
okay, I will define it for you. Okay, I'll define it for you.
I mean,
you can.
I just did.
No, you didn't. You did not give clear definition. It's okay.
Well,
okay.
when you're saying that I don't think that there's like one clear univocal definition of the term fascist. I think that we could like broadly associate it as a far right authoritarian ultra nationalist political ideology. But to like better understand what fascism is and how we see it in the world around us, like in historical governments and like even as I would suggest, like current day modern governments, would be like seeing its alignment with like the 14 tenets. The reason why there's not like one clear univocal definition of fascism is because exploring it historically and exploring it academically has led to like books being written to define what fascism is, right? And basically like the reduction of how we want to condense these ideas is understanding it related to 14 tenets. But we could also assume or describe like a loose definition of just being like a far right authoritarian ultra nationalist political ideology. And I just think that it's described or characterized by like 14 tenets. Right, because if we want to go into like, like a very on the point one sentence definition, we'll say it's like described by like a single party state, or it's described by aggressive nationalism and militarism, and it's suggested by suppression of opposition. See, it's hard to say that there are like certain necessary characteristics of this ideology, and that's why we typically understand it broken into like 14 tenets or characteristics.
Okay, I did just realize you mute my mic every time you talk. That's cool. That's a big number 4 of the tendencies, suppression of freedom. Good job there. But I will say, yeah, you're right on track there. Extreme nationalism, and yeah, really, it's just central power under one single party is the big one. That's one of the main ones, along with like censor freedom of speech, right?
Right, so, you're going through the tenets. Oh my God,
right.
Kent, come on.
You were
trying to tell me that I was doing something wrong by telling you that we typically
you didn't say anything.
14 tenets.
No. I wanted you to explain to the audience what that was, not just say the 14 tenets, because they don't really know. You and I might know.
So you're asking me to say what the tenets are?
That's what I wanted you to do.
Oh,
it was pretty obvious. Okay, but anyways,
I thought that you were asking for like more of a succinct, like single sentence definition. Obviously,
I mean, I could say the two main ones would be a single power, a main power under a single leader or a single party, and
so like a consolidation of power.
Yeah, and censorship of freedom of speech, which we have not seen
I could
either.
agree. I could agree that a consolidation of power and some type of censorship of opposition are going to be two predominant tenets of fascism.
Okay, so then why would you say that Trump is a fascist? Because there's none of this we've seen in his party.
Well, I mean, let's start off with the consolidation of power. I feel like there's a lot of really important points that we could bring up there. I mean, I'll just start with what I think is like a very obvious example of this. Obviously, it's going to be like a more encompassing like conversation that would include many other things, but we could start with this. You know, like a consolidation of power that we've seen from the Trump administration is a disdain for the Constitution. If they don't like it, you know, they'll just try to change it on their own without going through like the proper channels. Like, for instance, Donald Trump's executive order banning birthright citizenship for the children of undocumented immigrants, just like belligerently contradicted the 14th Amendment. And then he tried to get it like upheld by federal courts. It failed. He had federal judges like issue nationwide injunctions. And
Do you personally believe
go ahead.
that when somebody comes in our country illegally, that they should be granted citizenship before being able to, or be forced to go back to their country? Do you believe that?
I don't understand like what that. So you're asking me if I support like a version of mass amnesty?
It is
Well,
obviously.
1 second. Let me finish. You're asking me if I support a version of mass amnesty? I do. I don't understand why my support for mass amnesty would be related to how Donald Trump has attempted to, in a way, consolidate power to the federal branch of our government by passing executive orders that explicitly contradict the Constitution.
Okay. Regardless of what you're talking about with the Constitution, I'm just asking you.
Why is that regardless?
Do you think no? Because right now the question that I'm asking at hand doesn't matter to that. Okay, I'm saying, do you think specifically
If it doesn't matter to
when
that,
somebody comes in our country illegally and breaks our laws, that's what it is. They have broken the law as soon as they come to our country illegally. Can you agree with that?
Yeah, it's like what 8 USC 1358.
Okay, yeah.
Misdemeanor upon undocumented entry. Sure, that's federal law.
Okay, right. So they've already broken our laws. Do you think that they should be granted citizenship before they are sent back to their country?
I mean, I don't even think that a lot of undocumented immigrants should be deported. I think that mass deportation is one of like the most like worst, most American last policies fucking ever. And I do support mass amnesty for a vast majority of all undocumented immigrants, 110%. And I'm going to be honest, Kent, I want to have a conversation with you about that. I think that arguing for mass deportation is likely one of the most challenging things to do in American politics today, to support like particular like policy and agendas. But like this is a deflection away from the point that I brought up. So how about we stay on topic first? And then we have like a long conversation about why mass deportation is like one of the worst policies we've seen from our government in modern American history. You asked me for an example of how the Trump administration has attempted to consolidate power to the federal branch. One very obvious attempt to do so was their executive order that explicitly contradicted the 14th Amendment in rescinding birthright citizenship for the children of undocumented immigrants.
Okay, so I haven't read up on that one. Hold on. Due process. I'm not going to read into the 14th Amendment. I should know that. I'm about to go to law school, but I don't yet.
I'll just tell you everything that you need to know, and you can fact check me later. So the 14th Amendment guarantees birthright citizenship to almost everybody born on American soil. The only people it didn't guarantee it to when it was drafted was like indigenous Americans, which was overturned by a law later passed by Congress in the 19th century, and then B, diplomats or other individuals from other countries that are kind of immune to American law. They're not subject to the jurisdiction of the state, therefore their children born on American soil don't have birthright citizenship. But, you know, when this amendment was passed in 1865, it was kind of a reaction to the Dred Scott case, where we had a member of our Supreme Court rule that Black Americans don't qualify for birthright citizenship because it was understood as like common law of the land, pulling from just solely, which was English common law. If you were born on the soil of the king, then therefore you're subject to the king. And we just kind of upheld that when we, colonized North America. But they finally codified it into law with the 14th Amendment as a way to kind of sign a peace treaty between the North and the South and let the Southern states back into the Union. And even on like the floor of the Congress when they were debating the 14th Amendment, particularly for the birthright citizenship aspect of it, they argued that, yes, this is something that we're doing in reaction to a judge denying birthright citizenship to Black people. So we want this to include Black people. But they also specifically debated including the children of immigrants born on American soil, Chinese immigrants. That was a big piece of contention at the time because of this guy named Kim. And yeah, they all agreed unanimously that this will also apply to immigrants. And I mean, that's been upheld in case law ever since 1865 until Donald Trump passed that executive order rescinding birthright citizenship for the children of undocumented immigrants. I just don't think that there's a single legal argument to instantiate that the 14th Amendment doesn't cover the children of undocumented immigrants, and there's no precedent or case law to suggest that either.
So, do you think it was fascism when the 13th Amendment was created to end slavery? Because before then, we had slavery amendments as well. Do you think that's fascism as well?
I'm confused on what you're saying.
So, again, the 13th Amendment kind of completely contradicted amendments we had before then. Three-fifths compromise was a main one. Basically supporting slavery. Do you think that creating the 13th Amendment, changing the 13th Amendment, or the Constitution is also fascism? That's a counter towards the Constitution. Don't you think it should be changed? Don't you think that part of the reason the Constitution is so great is because it can be amended?
I think that like a better argument for you to run here would be like Abraham Lincoln, like suspending habeas corpus. But I mean, if you're talking about Congress passing, the 13th
That's a good
Amendment,
one.
if you're talking about Congress passing like the 13th Amendment, I don't understand why that would be fascist or anything related to authoritarianism. Because that was like one second. Because that was like following like the proper legal channels. Like that was ratified by 75% of Congress. It went through the proper legal channels. It went through the checks and balances. It was ratified by Congress and signed into law. Which is very distinct and different than Donald Trump, who's attempting to consolidate that power that is typically prescribed to a ratification from Congress to quote unquote amend the Constitution by passing an executive order, then attempting to like pressure judges into agreeing to not rescind said EO. Big difference there, buddy.
Your chat is so funny. Well, anyways, no. So I think that calling him a fascist, for one, that's a crazy claim. Okay, that's like me saying you're a racist because of one thing that you say. It's a crazy claim.
Well, the thing is like I'm definitely for a lot of people, you can call them racist because of one thing. Like this one thing that a white man does is say white men are superior to black men. Okay, call him a racist. But like I said, this isn't like my only argument for the idea that Trump is a fascist. It's just simply one example of one tenet of fascism to do with the consolidation of power to the federal branch of government. Like I could go on and on all day about that shit.
Okay, but see,
it's not only the It's not only the executive order that violated and contradicted the Constitution. It was also the illegal deportation of Abrigo Garcia. It was also his call to straight up terminate all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution in December of 2022. It was also, right, on J6 when he attempted to steal the election from Biden with his fake electorates plot. We've seen this so much. There's many descriptions of an attempt to consolidate power to the federal branch of government that we could go over and over and over and over again and again and again. So, just because I gave you one example doesn't mean that's the only example. And all the examples I just gave you are multiple examples of one tenet of fascism. See, like we could talk about other tenets too. I could yap all day long and give you multiple reasons, multiple examples, multiple explanations of how Donald Trump nearly fits all 14 tenets. But if you want to kind of go over, the other examples I gave you to demonstrate that he fulfills that one tenet of an attempt to consolidate power to one person or one branch of our government, that'd be sweet.
Yeah, I just don't see how contradicting something in the Constitution can even remotely break one of those tenets. I know you're saying bring power to the federal government, but I don't see
because
your
a
point there.
consolidation of power
really
that is
sense.
supposed to like rest either in the power vested in the Constitution, the power vested in the courts, or the power vested in Congress into one branch of government. It's a consolidation of power. That's literally what the term consolidation means.
Okay, but how is he trying to do that by trying to amend or change an amendment? That doesn't make sense.
Because who amends the Constitution?
Are three branches of power. That's why there are three branches.
What is like what branch plays like the predominant role in amending the Constitution? And I don't know. I don't think that. I think it's just one branch. Actually, it's one branch of our government.
No, it's definitely passed through the other two. But
what is passed through? What is passed through SCOTUS when amending the Constitution?
I actually don't know. Do you know the process on this?
The last time I looked in the process, you just got to get it approved by 75% of Congress, and it's ratified and added. That's about it.
Okay, then. So again, that's a play on separation of powers because
Only
Trump is in
Congress,
the
right? So,
executive
so,
branch.
so,
Well,
so, so what branch
no.
of the government amends and changes the Constitution?
The legislative.
Yeah, the legislative branch,
Okay,
Congress.
but then if
So
he
do we
comes
see
up
here
with
how,
the
like, you're
idea,
asking me how somebody that's not in Congress, one man, compared to nearly 500 men and women, trying to change the Constitution from a position of power where they do not possess that privilege to do so is an attempt to consolidate power to one branch or one person? It's
no,
common
because
sense.
he knew that it's very obvious that he knew that he would not be able to do it. He didn't sign an executive order on that.
He signed
It's
an
exec-
executive order to ban birthright citizenship for the children of undocumented immigrants. You didn't know this?
Oh no, I didn't read into that.
Yeah, it's happened in January.
Well, then I redact my clause on that. But I'm not saying he's fascist just based on that one argument.
Well,
I mean,
I've already went over this. You
Okay, but
already
also,
pulled that
I
card
will
of
say-
Dean. You just have one singular example / argument to demonstrate that he's
Okay, so-
fascist. I went over how I could yap all day about how he fulfills the other 13 tenets, and I even have like another billion examples that he fulfills this one tenet of consolidation of power. I'll be super quick, just repeating what I've already said. January 6th, fake electorate plot attempting to steal the election from Biden. December of 2022, when he explicitly called for the termination of the Constitution. Illegally deporting Rodrigo Garcia, violating the due process of Venezuelan immigrants and sending them back to Venezuela, then having a federal judge rule that he could hold their administration in contempt because he ignored their ruling not to remove them. Blackbagging college students and then putting them in ICE detention centers 1,000 miles away, even at you after having circuit courts rule that they couldn't take them any more than 45 miles away for the first 48 hours of detention. I mean, dude, there's so many examples of this.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, I'm not reading into all the examples you just listed. I couldn't even listen to how fast you were talking. But regardless of what you're saying on fascism, okay, for one, to call somebody a fascism, it's an insane insult. Because what he's doing for our country, regardless of the little things, amazing. The big outcomes that he's developing, amazing. I actually would argue that he's probably one of the best presidents in the last 50 years. I've seen a lot of polls say this. And back to sorry, back to what we were just talking about on the 14th Amendment. I just lost my train of thought. Damn. So, oh yeah, sorry, that's where I was going. I forgot you were talking so long. Executive orders have been signed by thousands of presidents. I don't know why you think that's fascism. That's happened a lot.
So, dude, oh my gosh. So if a white person says the N-word, is that racist?
I mean, sure, for the sake of argument.
But words have been spoken by so many white people. I'm a white person speaking words right now. Does that mean all the words that I'm saying right now are racist too? The relation to the argument you just made was I'm pointing towards one specific executive order signed in by Donald Trump.
Do you think
like explicitly like an indication of fascism because it consolidated power to one branch and circumnavigated Congress, or was at least an attempt to? That doesn't mean that all other EOs are fascist. No, specifically EOs that attempt to circumnavigate our checks and balances and break the explicitly contradict the Constitution are fascist. And then also your responses there about white people saying the N-word were very questionable. I think I heard a sure, and apparently some people in my comment section heard for the sake of the argument. Definitely questionable.
Yeah, we're not going to get into that, but I will say, do you think that it's racist for a black person to say the N-word?
I thought you just said we're not going to get into that.
No, not what I said. I'm just to get your thoughts on that. Do you think that's racist?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you can't really explain that one though, because again, it was created not even really by white people. So I mean, again, I don't. That entire argument is just so stupid. But
I don't think it's too stupid. I mean, it's not necessarily regardless. I'll give you a little bit of insight insofar as why it's not stupid. The N-word was used as like a tool of oppression to systemically exploit, enslave, kill, and torture black people for hundreds of years in this country. It was just like one part of a multifaceted scheme to further dehumanize these humans into an existence socially as non-humans at the hand of the white man, to lend towards their exploitation, to lend towards their torture, to lend towards many systems of oppression. And it was a tool used by white people against black people. So I mean, I think, you know, when like white people use that term today, you know, when we still have particular systems of oppression that still do exist and oppress black people in America, it's just further lending towards those same systems that it did historically. But you know, I don't really think it's going to lend towards those same systems when a black person uses it. But I mean, there's differing thoughts on this. You know, if you ask, black Americans on the left their thoughts on black people using the N word, some will say I think that it's fine. Some will say I think that everybody should stop using it. So if you want to explore more like takes on that, I mean, I'd definitely direct you to black creators on the platform.
Yeah, I would say that that's the best take. If some people can't use it, no one can use it. Again, that's just me, but that's just really stupid for one. If it's oppressive, if it's so like offensive to you, then why do you say it yourself? That makes no sense. It's like calling myself fat. So, anyways, and again,
So like when a black person calls another black person like the N word, like they're not doing it to dehumanize the other black person. They've adopted.
and do you
the term,
think white people
reclaimed it,
are?
and have used it as as reference of camaraderie. And there's not only that distinction in intent, but there's also a distinction in like the impact of said usage of the term. And like, yeah, I gave you the historical explanation. The only reason why that word exists was a tool of dehumanization to use against black people. And I mean, if you want to argue that, well, it can be the case that like white people say the N word today without the intention of like the dehumanizing black people, you know, like I agree, a lot do, you know, like
100%.
that's something that that I did when I was 14. You know, that's like that was like something big a while ago. Was screenshots of me saying the N word when I was 14. So I definitely think white people use the N word today without the intention of like being racist. But we also have to make a distinction between intention and impact. And I think that the impact of white people continuing to use that term, even in lack of an intent, just continue to perpetuate the same system that has roots in history, you know, 400, 500 years ago.
Well, realistically, I think it's stupid to ban a word from the Latin language, which literally just simply means a color. Okay, that's really silly.
When you say ban, do
But
you just like suggest not to use because of like moral implications?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying how
Like
often.
you shouldn't use that term?
No,
I
I'm
think that
saying
that's fine to do. Obviously, we could probably agree that there's a lot of words and phrases that we shouldn't say because of, you know, their impact implications, etc. Like
yeah, but
we
name
do
another
this,
word in the English language.
we do this all the time. Like this isn't mutually exclusive to slurs too. You know, like for instance, like there's like a particular like set of words, you know, that I think we agree that we shouldn't use. For instance, you know, coming on live and screaming about how you love Hitler, et cetera, et cetera. Like those are words and phrases that like I bet we could agree people shouldn't say. You know, saying screaming bomb in an airport, that's some shit we think should be banned. I mean, you know, I just don't understand why like people on the right like really freak out so much. You know, when we have conversations about words that we shouldn't use because of their impact, but then are just like totally fine with their grandma saying that they shouldn't use the F word, or totally fine with law enforcement agencies telling you that you shouldn't scream bomb in an airport. But I mean, we could go on all day about that. You got a flag, Mr. Kent. In fact, you got my live stream a flag too.
You had me muted. Anyways, yeah, I mean, it's honestly a stupid conversation to have, but I just think it's silly to have one side of the world say we can only use this word. It's kind of like, I don't know, separating America. Like again, because America is supposed to be the great diversity mosh pit, right? So
Separating
well,
America.
I mean, I feel like that's almost as bad as how separated our political parties are at this time. If you look back in the hold on,
separation here.
hold on.
Are you
If you
saying
look
that
back in
our
like the
country?
90s,
Are you saying that our country would like be like more like together? There'd be like more people together as like one unit of white people who are screaming the N-word every day?
no. I'm saying if you're going to make such a big deal of to get rid of it, then get rid of it entirely. Nobody says it because again, like I was saying, it's created a lot of separations in America, just the same as, and this is honestly a driving impact on
So are you saying that?
separating
Are
our
you saying that?
political parties,
Are you saying that
like
you want to
liberals.
say the N word because
No,
white people
that's
say
not
the
what
N
I'm
word?
saying. I just said get rid of it entirely. Stop twisting my words, bro. No,
I'm
it's
just confused with the view.
no, I'm saying get rid of it entirely. Why do you allow one certain, oh, but we can say it, but you can't? Again, that separates. And what that does is it looks just like our political parties now, like Republican versus Democrat. Look how separated it is compared to like the 80s.
Well,
Have you seen
I
how
gave
crazy?
you I gave you an explanation on this earlier. I don't think that you were listening to me. I mean, if you want to go back to my explanation, because honestly, like I'm not going to give it again. I gave you like a pretty like thorough explanation of why it is the case that I think it's a very acceptable view to suggest that white people shouldn't be able to say the N word, but I don't really take issue with black people saying the N word. Earlier, I gave you like a pretty nuanced view as it how that term related to like an historical usage and perpetuating systems of exploitation exploitation and oppression on the basis of race, the outcomes that we saw in history because of the usage of said tool, and the outcomes that we still see today, and who is using the tool as a weapon of hate and exploitation, and who is now reclaiming said word to demonstrate camaraderie and shared experiences as a victim of said system of oppression.
Okay, but nobody
I'm not
in
going to give you that whole
America,
I'm not going to give you that whole explanation again. I mean, feel free to go back in my live and re-listen.
nobody in this world has suffered from slavery or the usage of that word in slavery. So I don't think that that's a good argument because again, nobody alive. Yeah, you could. Hold on, it just closed me.
I mean, I mean, I don't know why you'd make like such a like an abundantly like ridiculous claim. Right now, black people are being sold in chattel slavery in Libya. So
Yeah, okay. Outside of this world, slavery is everywhere. Not just black people.
outside of this
Every
world,
single,
are you
outside of
saying
our
that
country.
there's slavery on the
Outside
moon?
of our country, bro, come on. Outside of our country, slavery is everywhere, and it has been forever, and it's never going to go away. Okay?
I mean, like even
Honestly,
like
actually,
slavery in this country. I mean, I think that like child sex trafficking, that's slavery, man.
yeah, that's slavery. Actually, slave rates are actually the highest they've ever been, and I think last year was the number that I read. So
You think that we had higher rates of slavery in America last year
in the
than
world,
in 1840?
in the world,
On the global stage, I'm not so sure. I haven't looked at
look
data
that
on the
up.
global stage.
I saw. I
And I
mean,
also
this
don't
is super
understand how this
random.
relates to our conversation. Honestly, Ken, I'm going to be honest with you, man. I think that you're doing something very similar to what a lot of people on the right have done when I get into debates with him.
Right.
It's where you come up here expecting to have a conversation about your views, why you support Trump, why I don't. And we went over fascism because you called me ridiculous for calling Trump a fascist. I bring up a consolidation of power. I give you more examples than you could handle, and you quite frankly didn't have a response to a single one. And I mean, you even brought up that you wanted to have a conversation about immigration policy, mass deportation, mass amnesty. But then it's like the next step is like, well, actually, let's talk about slurs. Emily Wilson did the same thing. Andrew Wilson, funny enough, did the same thing to Parker. It's just kind of like the typical like line of thought for a lot of people on the right, because you don't expect me to be able to answer your questions and give you an explanation on these things. But
I actually have
I've
no
spent
idea.
the last like 10 or 15 minutes giving you my explanation on these things. I've re-explained to you twice where the N-word comes from, what it exists in America today as, and how it's been used as a tool to generate real-world material harm, and even a little bit of an explanation of how we can explain why black people, it's permissible for them to use it, but not permissible to white people to use it. You had me give that to you twice, and you didn't even respond to that explanation. You just went on to say that we have more slavery today than we did 200 years ago. I mean, I just feel like you're really trying to detract from the conversations that you came up here to have, and you rather want to like run that pretty typical argument that people on the right do of saying, what about slurs?
I don't even know how we got on that argument. I don't think it was entirely me. So I don't remember. You can go back and look in the live, but it doesn't really matter. Okay, well, we'll get back to immigration then. If
Quickly,
that's what you
before
want
we
to talk
move
about.
on, I want to thank a handful of people here. Sharon, thank you for the $20 over on YouTube Super Chat. I appreciate you so much for the love. Sharon says he doesn't get to decide what is a big deal, speaking from his privilege perch. Well, I mean, I think that, it's more so just like existing in like ignorance, if that makes any sense. I just wish that people were better informed, better educated. I mean, that's why I do what I do. I appreciate you for the $20. That is incredibly kind of you. As well as, oh my gosh, yo, Christian, thank you so much for the $200 donation over on PayPal. Mr. Christian, that is incredibly kind of you. If we could please have everybody watching show some love to Christian down below in the comment section, that would mean the most to me, Christian. You are so incredibly kind. That is so much fucking money. Jesus, dude. Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, while we're hopping into the continuation of this conversation with Kent down here, everybody, please show some love to Christian down below in that comment section, literally right now. Thank you so much for the love, Christian. Holy crap, 2,000 Christian W's down below. As well as Emma, thank you for the $10 over on PayPal. Emma says, thanks for the entertainment while I'm at work, Dean. Keep gentle parenting these Trump supporters. I think I've been a little bit more chill, a little bit more gentle recently. I'm enjoying it. It's better for my cortisol levels. I was cortisol maxing there for a couple of months by just freaking out every time I had anybody up here. But I appreciate you for that love, Emma. As well as Alex, I appreciate you for the $10 over on PayPal. Alex says, can't watch long. I'm at work, but had to stop by. I love you so much. You are amazing. I love you too, Alex. Thank you for the love. Continue to show some love to Christian down below, but also make sure we're spamming some W's for Emma, Alex, and Sharon. And if you're watching and you want to support me, you can find my Venmo, my PayPal, and the link tree in my bio on TikTok, or in the pinned message over on the YouTube stream. I appreciate everyone so much for all of the love. One more person I'd like to thank here is Mary, 13 seconds ago, the $10 over on Venmo. Thank you for the love, Mary. Show some love to Mary as well. And Mr. Kent, let's go back to it. I think I did want to talk to you about, immigration policy, particularly mass deportation. So what are your thoughts on the mass expulsion of undocumented immigrants from America?
I mean, okay, so let's just say a bunch of people break a bunch of crime. A bunch of people break the law. Sorry. Right. They should be punished, correctly?
It depends on what the law is.
Okay. Let's just say, I mean, you said it earlier, it was a misdemeanor, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if the act of breaking the law is literally showing up in our country, don't you think that should be reversed? I mean, that's just so simple. It's just so simple to me.
Okay, the act
Illegal.
of breaking the law shows up in this country. Should it be reversed or changed? So yeah, absolutely. 110%. No, we actually agree here. I just think that, like, quote unquote, reversing that action doesn't always mean like punishing or removing or issuing a ticket. Like the way that we reverse the act of, like black people breaking the law and going into quote unquote white-owned businesses as white-only businesses as protests during Jim Crow law era segregation was by ending Jim Crow era segregation. So I mean, I don't think that every crime always should be punished, if that makes any sense. I think that's a little bit too much of like a blanket take. But as it relates to a conversation about mass deportation, let me ask you a question. Do you think it's like the obligation of the state to write and enforce laws that makes the country better?
To write and enforce laws that make the country better? No, I mean, actually,
people in the country better?
The purpose of the state.
It's like an obligation of the state to write and enforce laws that makes the country better, the people in the country better off, etc.
Okay, when you say state, you're talking about the country, not literally a state. Yeah, I think so. Yes.
Okay.
Of course.
Do you think that this would imply that if there exist laws that make the country... Sorry, I get it in a notification from TikTok. So this means if the state does have laws that make the country worse, that make the people in the country worse off, that we should get rid of those laws, or at the bare minimum reform them, right?
Okay, so where are you going with this?
You'll see that. I just want to see. So you do agree to that?
Yeah, in the general sense, if a law makes life worse in the country, but again, there's stipulations to that. But
what are the stipulations?
But I don't know. You'd have to give me a specific instance.
Okay. Well, I mean, one law that I think makes this country a whole lot worse is mass deportation. I think that every single one of the outcomes of mass deportation is negative. And then like the few positive outcomes of mass deportation, A, are not exclusive to mass deportation and could be achieved through other policy, and B, could be achieved better and faster through other policy. So I think when we just kind of like look at it on the broad scale, is mass deportation a good or bad law? The cons outweigh the pros every single time.
Okay, explain further. Like, what would your solution be then? If you see that mass deportation is bad, what is your solution to get the illegal people out of our country who are
make sure there's zero undocumented immigrants? Consistently
breaking our laws. I mean, realistically, in a perfect world, yes.
Check this out. Mass amnesty. Boom. We offer a pathway of residency or citizenship to any and all undocumented immigrants that don't have prior violent offenses, outstanding warrants from other countries, or pretty crazy criminal offenses on their records. That's what we should do. It's better for them. It's better for us. It's better for the country as a whole.
Well, actually, sorry, but increasing the population in our country is actually a bad thing if it's too many, which it has been, specifically where I live. It has been lately. They take jobs for lower wages under the table because they're illegal. Okay. So all of these construction companies that are local, which I live in the middle of nowhere. So there's a lot, right? They pay under the table, which is illegal. And they're honestly taking part of the illegal activities. And I think they should be punished as well. But they're paying under the table, untaxed, lower wages to these illegal immigrants, which take jobs from local people who actually need jobs, and it increases homelessness and a higher population increases needs of what?
You're telling me here that undocumented immigrants are paid lower wages because they're undocumented, and undocumented immigrants are more likely to work under the table because they're undocumented. Are those your two claims?
Yeah, basically, I see a lot of that, actually.
So both of the two claims that you just made are true. I agree with both of them. They do get paid lower wages because they're undocumented. They don't have as much bargaining power as residents or citizens. They are more likely to work under the table because they're undocumented. Yeah. They don't qualify for federal benefits and they can't file a tax return. Check this out. Check this shit out. This is why I support mass amnesty. This right here is why I support mass amnesty. Get paid lower wages, more likely to work under the table because they're undocumented. Give them documentation without any material change in their employment. They're all of a sudden more likely to make more money and contribute more to our GDP. And they're more likely to work over the table and receive those benefits from our federal government. So they're contributing more in taxable revenue.
Okay, yeah, but then how do you get rid of the problem that it's taking jobs from people? Because again, the job market right now, terrible. Not for me specifically, but I have friends who can't get a job anywhere. So how do you argue with that one?
So why did you call it a problem? What would be the negative outcomes of naturalizing undocumented immigrants? They're making more same as anybody else in our country right now, and they're paying even more in taxes, making our country better off. What's the problem with that? Because you call that a problem. I just what's the problem?
Okay. Again, taking jobs from American citizens.
Well, they would be American citizens.
Okay, yes, but again, they're not legal Americans. They didn't come here legally. Okay, for one.
So they didn't come here legally. Therefore,
they broke the law,
make
and they're
the country
just
worse off to remove them. I thought that you agreed earlier that we shouldn't enforce legislation. We should change legislation that makes this country worse off. Because I bet you could acknowledge that if we were to forcefully deport the 8.3 million laborers and 12 million consumers that are undocumented, our economy is going to experience massive losses. The Center for American Progress tells us that the total GDP contribution of undocumented workers is 8.3 trillion. Sorry, is 1.1 trillion through 1.7 trillion dollars per year, and B, it costs a shit ton of money. It's close to $2 trillion over 10 years, and C, it just make our economy less productive because we less people to make the goods we need and less people to sell the goods inside of our markets. So I mean, it just really shake up our producers here. I mean, these are all very negative outcomes. I mean, that seems to lead us to the conclusion that if we did a mass deportation, the American economy would be significantly worse off. But what comes with an economy that's significantly worse off is more poverty. What comes with more poverty, more crime. So at the end of the day, right, our manufacturers are going to be destabilized. They're also going to be selling less goods, meaning their overall growth and contributions to our country's GDP is going to go down, meaning that poverty is going to go up, meaning that crime is going to go up. I mean, this all seems to be a pretty ugly picture that we're painting here. That's going to be caused by mass deportation. And it seems like the only argument that you have to justify mass deportation is to say, well, they broke the law when they came in. Okay. All right. I agree. They did. They committed a misdemeanor. You don't care about that. You put a felon in the Oval Office. I say we focus on proactive solutions here.
I will say his felonies are very silly. It's actually right down my alley in the accounting. It was literally just 38 counts of misdocumentation of a charge, but that has nothing to do. I just wanted to comment on that.
That's not technically true. What you just said isn't technically true. You're describing the misdemeanor of what he committed in the state of New York. The felony was falsification of business records with an intent to commit a second step crime. So that's not technically all the way true.
Well, yeah, but that's what that meant. Anyways, it happens all the time. I've literally falsely recorded things before.
You didn't you didn't meet the statute of the felony in the state of New York. It also would require a second step intent to conceal the documentation to commit a crime.
Okay. Well, anyways, that's not the
Right,
point
he's
of
also
our-
held he's also held civilly liable for SA. He's pardoned people that try to kill cops on J6.
Okay, I've got to leave in 5 minutes. I got to go to class, but let's finish this before I go because I've got to. All right, sorry, I have class at 4. All right, so to what you said about mass deportation. Let me remember what you said again. It was something about like.
It just sucks because
oh,
it
yeah,
hurts
it
our
decreases-
economy, it increases
yeah.
poverty, and it weakens
Okay,
our
but
manufacturers.
where are your facts on that? Okay,
The Center for American Progress, PNAS, and just general macroeconomic trends that we could speak about principally.
okay, I can't look those up right now, but I think specifically that when you send these people back to, okay, so what are the main ones from, like, what, Mexico? It's like the majority of
I'm not
legal
aware.
immigrants.
I'm not aware.
Okay, but okay. When you send them back, they're not just gonna stay there, right? They're gonna come through the legal way. You see that happening a lot right now. I've actually seen a lot.
That's just going to cause more undocumented entry. Come a next president that doesn't support or uphold.
No, coming
mass
back the legal
deportation.
way.
Yeah,
No,
so you mean you're just going to backlog the already terrible legal systems that already exist? And
I think
also,
in a
by the way,
perfect world-
the main incentive for undocumented entry in the first place is because they have viewed the legal means of entry as unattainable for them, either because it takes too long or it's too expensive. So I actually don't think we'd see a lot of those people just getting back in the legal means of entry. And if the end result you want to seek is them getting into the legal means of entry, that's basically a description of mass amnesty, plus the massive inefficiency of removing them from the economy for 20 years first, right?
Well, we've already seen lower illegal passes, right?
yeah,
They're
yeah.
not coming in, not even nearly as the same rates, right? That's amazing. Okay,
I don't think that's amazing.
So you just think max out the population in America, let everybody.
False dichotomy. The reason I don't think it's great is because of what's caused it.
What? By
What
what's
has caused the reduction in undocumented entry?
elaborate on that?
Yeah, I think that Donald Trump hasn't really done much to reduce undocumented entry with the use of sturdy policy in the long term. I just think that it's been his fascism that has reduced undocumented entry, like violating the human and constitutional rights of immigrants and undocumented immigrants that are already in this country, like playing judge, jury, and executioner and sending Abrigo Garcia to be beaten and tortured for 3 weeks in El Salvador, or keeping Mahmoud Khalil caught up in an ICE detention center for 3 months, even though he's a legal green card holder. I think that restructured the incentive for undocumented entry and is, kind of now scaring undocumented immigrants by telling them that they're going to have a lower quality of life if they come into the country. And I mean, I think that's the same reason why we've seen a reduction in travel for business or leisure, tourism, etc.
I mean, I have nothing to say towards that specific argument. I mean, I don't know about all that, but you've obviously read way more into the, mistreatment of illegals. But again, I think in a perfect world, if you remove every illegal immigrant in America, okay, it's just boom, gone, right? And then encourage them, which is what we've been doing, to come into America legally, we will have a better economy. And I think we'll see better benefits from that, other than just like, okay, yeah, you're all good, guys. Go to your local DMV and get a card and you're chilling. That's not going to happen, for one. When you grant national amnesty, most of the people might not even know that thing exists, for one, okay? They can't speak English for the most part. So again, I think that there should be tests required to become an American citizen. I mean, they should know some of our laws. Like, my dad is a judge. There's no telling how many times he's had people come into his court who have traffic law violations, and they broke, a simple, driving law or whatever, and they don't even have a license. They don't even know the road laws.
So you're telling me that maybe if somebody tries to drive on the roadways without a driver's license, and then they get caught for that, and their answer is, well, they didn't know they had to have a driver's license, that should be disqualifying for citizenship. So answer this. When Donald Trump passed an executive order to ban birthright citizenship, which explicitly contradicted the 14th Amendment, he was then interviewed by ABC, and they asked him if he has to hold to the Constitution, and he said that he didn't know if he does or not. That sounds a little bit worse than not knowing you need to have a license to drive on the roadway. Should that be barring Trump from serving as our president?
No, I just think that, again,
so,
I haven't watched.
So rules for thee, but not for the most important human alive. Wow.
Okay. Tell me how him saying that, for one, endangers lives of others. When
Oh wow, really?
tell me how? Okay. Hold on. Would you feel safe driving on a highway full of people who can't even read our signs, for one, our highway
Actually,
signs?
road signs are like meant to be able to be understood by anybody just by looking at them. So
Right, but they don't know that.
road signs are
Okay, for one,
visual.
okay, if you don't take
Wait, you don't like
you don't take any driving
it's
exam.
not something like it's you do like you know that by looking at the signs they're meant to be visual.
Okay, so how do you
anybody-
know that an orange sign means construction? How do you know that? It's not because you were just
because
born
like the
with a name.
like I mean typically it would be like combined with symbolization on the sign.
Right, it's because you know that it's orange. You took a driving course that probably taught
But are
you
you
that.
telling me that like people on the roadway should have to take a driving course? I agree.
Yeah, and
So you
this
should have
is
to do a
this
license
is a
to be on
big
the roadways.
problem.
Fucking duh.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. So that's a big thing where I live specifically because legal immigration is really high where I live.
Yeah. Guess what? They can't fucking qualify to take that test. So therefore, they're more likely to drive on the roadways without proper documentation. I actually fucking agree. That's why, once again, I support mass amnesty. Do we see how mass amnesty
I think
is the solution to all of our problems? Oh, they're more likely to work under the table because they don't qualify for federal benefits like Social Security, Medicaid, and Medicare. Give them residency, give them citizenship. All of a sudden, they do qualify for those benefits, and they're more likely to work over the table. Oh, they could garner lower wages on average, reducing median real wages because they have less bargaining power because they're not a citizen or resident. Well, give them citizenship, give them residency, so then they have more bargaining power. So then all of a sudden, real median wages are increased on average. Oh, they're more likely to drive on the roadways because in many states they don't qualify for like a driver's license, CDL, etc. Well, just give them residency, give them citizenship, give them the ability to qualify for those things just like citizens do, and then all the fucking sudden, guess what? They're going to go out and do it at the same rates we do. Not to mention, I actually don't believe that undocumented immigrants are more likely to drive on the roadways without a driver's license compared to citizens. Because when we look at the crime stats from PNAS, they're 2.5 times less likely to commit violent criminal offenses, 3 times less likely to commit property criminal offenses, than like 3 times less likely to commit petty criminal offenses. And I don't know if that include a misdemeanor of driving without a driver's license, but the trend seems to follow that you would have to demonstrate a pretty high burden of proof here to describe and prove your claim that they're more likely to drive on the roadways without a driver's license. But I think you got to go to class. I don't want to make you late, bro. If you got to dip, no worries.
Yeah, all right. Well, it was a good talk anyways. I had more questions, but I do have to go.
Yeah, man. Have
good discussion. Sure.
Thanks for the convo. Have a fun time in class, bro. Take care.
Yeah, you too.
We're going to move on to the next guest, guys. Make sure to hop in that queue. If you support Trump, we'll bring you up here. Keegan, thank you so much for the $20 over on YouTube Super Chat. I appreciate you so much for the love, Keegan. If we could get 200 Keegan W's down below in that comment section, it would mean the world to me. As well as Jazz with the $10. I appreciate you so much for the love. Jazz says, with respect to Trump's financial crimes, he earlier said it happens all the time, so no big deal. Okay, fine. Then guess what? Crossing the border illegally historically happens all the time, so therefore no big deal. You know what? That was a great point, Jazz. You outwitted me. I didn't even think about that one, but that was a perfect 10 out of 10 connection, Jazz. I'm not gonna lie. Jazz Music 79, whoever the hell you are, you outwitted me. Yo, Shirley, thank you for the $20 over on Venmo. Shirley says, hello, Dean. Just wanted to say that you're an amazing young man and you deserve everything good that comes to you. So very proud of you. Shirley, you are so kind. If everybody watching could show some love to Shirley down below in that box while we're getting our next Trump supporter loaded in, it would mean the world to me. Shirley, you deserve everything in the world. Thank you for your kindness. And then tomorrow with a $5, I appreciate you. Then thank you for the $6, and Tava with a 1. You guys are very kind, and thank you for the love. Let's go and get that next guest loaded in right now. Going to put a Maga down below in that chat with your age if you want to come up. We've been trying to get our next guest loaded in, but nobody's connecting, quite frankly. We got Angry loading up right now. They're connecting. They're loading in slowly. Looks like Angry's loading in. David Hurst is loading in. Honestly, I'm looking at the queue right now. There's a lot of like really good profile pictures of what looks to be like angry old men. But whenever I'm accepting any of these people into the live, like you'll see we have 4 people attempting to load in right now. They just don't load in. It actually looks like we got Johnny in. Johnny, if you unmute that mic, I'd love to have a chat. Sent you that invite. Yeah, you got Johnny Smith, David Hurst, Angry Ninja, Lawrence. All these people are just Unfortunately disconnecting. It looks like Johnny's up here, but he doesn't even want to speak his mind. How about this? We're going to pull from the chat. If you're watching on TikTok, go ahead and drop a mag with your age. We'll get you pulled up, as well as Lindsay. Thank you for the galaxy. And then Silence, thank you for the $20 over on Super Chat. Thank you so much, Silent. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Silent. Thank you. It means the world to me. Thank you, Silent, for the $20. They said, what's your favorite ice cream flavor? I'm a big fan of just straight chocolate. Straight chocolate ice cream is my go-to, let me tell you. All right, we're still trying to find the next guest. Nobody's loading. I wonder if there's an issue in my end. Oh, never mind. We got Melissa, but Melissa very quickly left. So right now we have 8,000 people on the TikTok, but like no guest requests. So if you're watching and you want to like see some debates, you would really be helping me by double tapping on that phone screen and showing up the live with a handful of friends. It'll help get more people in here. So hopefully more people are going to be likely to come up. It's crazy how we could have 8,000 people in here with only like 30 guest requests. Keeping in mind that most of those guest requests are probably trolls. Samantha, age, please.
How we could have 8,000 people in here with only like 30.
All right, see what I mean, you guys? Moving on to the next guest. Everyone just give us a minute. We got Alex loading in right now. For the 8K people in here, guys, make sure they were double tapping. We are so close to 1 million likes, everybody. We are so close to 1 million likes. We are going to move on to the next guest. Here we go. Hey, what's up? Do you support Trump?
I do.
Age, please.
33.
Have we spoken before?
No, sir.
I don't know. I feel like I speak to somebody with like your same like tone and cadence every day. I don't know. Maybe it's just some shared characteristic of people on the right. But take it away. Tell us why you support this this terrible president. How the hell do you still support him? I'm very curious.
Before I do, can I mind if I ask a question about what you've said before?
Yeah, for sure.
So in the past, when you've talked about
Ooh.
Trump pulling out of the JCPOA that it greenlit Iran to make nukes, would you say that that's also fair if you do mass amnesty, that you're greenlighting more undocumented immigrants to come to the country to seek the same thing?
Yeah, so like theoretically I understand what you're saying. And I think that we just didn't have any strong evidence of this happening historically when Reagan granted amnesty in the when he was serving as president. I think that there was a lot of research done on undocumented entry that followed from that. And we just didn't see a huge uptick. So I mean historically we just haven't seen it. And then also, I think that mass amnesty would kind of play a part in a larger plan, because I agree if like we continue to let the legal means of entry into this country take 20 years, but then we're allowing undocumented immigrants to become residents or citizens in like 6 months and stay in the country while they're doing it, like undocumented entry is going to be the obvious way to come into the country. So I think if we did mass amnesty, we would also offer that same expedited pathway to residency or citizenship to anybody that was seeking legal means of entry into the country in the first place.
Okay, so would your
Good question.
Okay, thank you. Would you say that the solution would be first to grant the mass amnesty and then fix the overarching issue of the system in which it takes so long for them to get into place to get their pathway to citizenship instead of resorting to undocumented means?
I think that our $28 trillion bureaucracy can probably do both at the same time.
Okay, so it doesn't have to be one then the other?
It should be both.
Okay, I agree. Because I don't agree with his mass deportation.
Oh, shit. Then why do you consider yourself a Trump supporter?
Well, mostly because I think I know anecdotal experiences don't matter a whole lot in the overarching aspect of, the greater America. But what I've seen with me personally is like economically with the things that have changed. I know you can't necessarily attribute it to just the president who's in, but I think I don't know if I would have seen the same, drops in gas prices, the drops in, everyday essentials as we've seen in the last 170 days under a different president.
What has Donald Trump done in the last 170 days to drop the price of so many things so much?
Well, I think something could be said about whether it was the implementation of the tariffs or the threat of the implementation of tariffs. Although I didn't agree with the blanket, I do think that what it did do was cause other countries to maybe think twice about maybe the prices on which they are selling America goods, as well as incentivize.
Can you give me any evidence of that?
No, I can't. This is me just speculation.
Okay. Well, I don't know how I'm supposed to debate against speculation without just calling it speculation.
Well, that's why I said like it's anecdotal, right? That's just kind of what I'm seeing is
Right.
the cost of
I
things
mean,
going
I
down.
appreciate your perspective, but like I think that the only thing I could say to you is that we're gonna need evidence. You know, it's like
Well, the
that,
evidence.
and we
Well,
shouldn't believe in things without evidence. And if the evidence is just like an alignment with some things dropping in their price in the last 170 days with Trump's administration, that's what's called a correlation causation fallacy. You're saying because it happened under his term, he caused it. But I
Well,
mean,
that's why I prefaced it by saying I know it's not directly just because who's in office, but I'm saying because it's happening under his administration, even if it's not necessarily something he's doing specifically with executive orders or
so we
a
should
certain
attribute things
policy in
that
place.
happen under his administration to him. So do you attribute the highest level of unemployment this country's had since the Great Depression to him because it happened in his first term in April of 2020 at 14.8%?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I mean, if you think that this guy's the worst president for the economy since the Great Depression, probably shouldn't be a fan.
Yes and no. I think that, at that time, maybe there was things that, hold on a second, I got background noise.
I mean, yeah, that's just called a correlation causation fallacy. I mean, I don't know if I could go much further than that. Yo, Zilly, I sent you an invite. Love to chat. I mean, I just don't think it could really go much further than that. I mean,
Sorry, I wanted to mute while I moved away from the background noise so I didn't disturb you. But no, and I agree, and I'm trying not to be fallacious with the correlation causation. I understand that aspect of logical fallacies. I get that part. And first, I should have started off this way by congratulating you on your 4 million on your main account. That's super awesome. I was watching yesterday.
that's very
So
kind of you.
congrats to you and all your supporters. And I do support you as well. I think what you're doing is great, educating the public. And I wouldn't say I'm a diehard Maga
Here, I'm gonna
or supporter.
I'm gonna leave you with
Um,
this. I'm gonna leave you with this. I think that this is probably
Yes, sir.
the best way to continue. Like, I'm not like there's no other argument than I have than it's speculatory without evidence, and a correlation causation fallacy is just that, a fallacy. That's my only response to your position. I mean, maybe I could like recommend you to like try to investigate your claims here. Maybe like an actionable like piece of homework almost that you could take away from your conversation with me here today is to turn around, to go to Google and to explore and try to find anything that Trump has done in the last 170 days to cause lower prices. But I mean, I think our conversation ends there, unless there's any other thing that you have to argue here insofar as why you support Trump that doesn't kind of reduce to what we've both acknowledged as speculation.
I would say his big beautiful bill is something. Like I said, this is the anecdotal portion of it that it does affect me, rather than because I'm not part of the bottom 20% earners. That's why I support it, because it positively affects me.
Well, you shouldn't support things that marginally affect you if they disenfranchise the lives of so many others. Like I mean, I feel like that's.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that. I think that if he could do the same tax cuts without cutting the Medicaid and the SNAP benefits for those who desperately need it, that would be more preferential.
It would be.
And I
It would
think-
be more preferential. That would actually be similar to his tax cuts in his first term.
Right, and that's kind of maybe my ignorance with the big beautiful bill, is
Okay.
that I thought because it was reinstating his 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, that it was going to be not cutting the.
Right. Okay. Well, you went on pause, man. I mean, I think I'm gonna move on to the next guest. I mean, I don't really know that if we have a debate, if that makes any sense. Maybe just do your research and explore these things more. It sounds like you're kind of conflicted, and I think that confliction is good because it sounds like maybe you've been in a position before where you really did support Trump, and you're starting to realize that you might have got played. But I'm gonna move on to that next guest, man, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Yeah, hey Dean, thank you so much for what you do. I appreciate you.
All right. Well, I appreciate you for coming up, guys. Keep in mind that we are just looking for people that support Trump, preferably those with arguments. We're going to move on to Hallie. Everyone, just give us a minute here, you guys. If you're watching and you want to support me, support the stream, support the show, you can find my Venmo, my PayPal, and the link tree in my bio, y'all. Also, do you guys hear an echo Is there an echo that's going on at all? I mean, I've been seeing a handful of people commenting about an echo since I started the live stream. No? Okay. All right, good. I'm over here like fucking with my volume to try to prevent the echo. And I'm like forcing myself to like barely hear the guests because I'm thinking that maybe the audio is coming from my headphones into the mic. Welcome in. What's going on, Monet? Okay, well, there's a little bit of an echo there. Welcome in, Monet. Do you support Trump?
Okay, so I'm actually from England.
I'm so sorry that I have to kick you because the 3 rules are simple. You got to be at least 18 years old. You got to be from America, and you got to support Trump. We're going to move on to the next guest, the servant of Christ. Hopefully this person is not a Trump supporter. Hey, you're you're a big time liberal socialist, right? Leftist socialist.
Big time liberal socialist.
Leftist socialist.
What?
Because you're a servant of Christ. He's furthest thing away from the right, bro. Guessing you're not MAGA.
What?
Are you breaking the rules?
What is... Jesus was a liberal?
Leftist, I'd say.
Oh, sorry. Jesus was a leftist?
Probably.
Oh, so we're just making claims that aren't true.
No, definitely.
Why are we making things up?
I don't know, man. Maybe I'm feeling like a Trump supporter today. Do you support Trump?
I absolutely do.
Oh, dude. How? Tell me how.
You know, I had to pick him over Kamala. We all know that men are better leaders than women.
Oh.
Kamala.
No, her name is pronounced Kamala.
Wait, does it matter?
Yeah, for sure it does. Are you telling me that Republicans are so effing stupid they don't know how to pronounce words?
Well, I'm not a Republican,
all right.
But
so you just told us that men are better at leading than women, right?
Yes.
All right.
Yes,
Tell
absolutely.
me why. Why do you think men are better at leading than women? Let's hear the argument.
Wait, for reals?
Yeah, I'm being serious.
Oh, okay. Well, normally we just agree on this. This is like not even a debate.
Oh, it definitely is a debate.
Really?
Yeah, because you're wrong.
I'm wrong?
Yeah, give the argument.
Was Nick Fuentes wrong when he debated you on that?
Yeah, he was. And you're wrong too. So why do you think men are better at leading than women? Because right now you don't have an argument. I guess I'll take the mic and I'll start. I'll make an argument up for you since you don't want to give me one. I'll just kind of go through anything that you could say. Maybe you'll say that men are better at leading than women because you think that women are more emotional than men. I mean, that's not true. We see that men are actually more likely to drive their decision-making processes with emotion compared to women. My evidence would be in like empirical stats. Like 92% of all violent crimes are more likely to involve in reckless driving, drunk driving, where insurance premiums are higher. And then when we they're also more likely to self-unalive. They're more likely to use hard deer UGS as a coping mechanism to deal with unprocessed emotions. But then when we look at like people that maturely manage and process their emotions, like women, they have higher EQ scores on average, higher IQ scores on average, and things which are inductive of high levels of intelligence and logical thought processing, like schools. Women outperform men. They have higher graduation rates, get better grades. And I mean, they're also just kind of like biologically designed to deal with like stress better, for instance. Evolution gave that to women because of childbirth. They have thicker dendrites in the context of their spinal cords, which make them better when dealing with stress. Maybe that's why women surgeons outperform male surgeons. Yeah, I don't know. Just a thought. We saw that from a study done by the Journal of the American Medical Association. So I don't know. I made an argument up for you. Maybe you'd say that men are better at leading than women because women are more emotional because you didn't want to give me one of your own. So now we know that that's not true. I'll go back to you. Do you have an argument, or should I just keep on going through the potential arguments that you could give?
Oh, so your argument didn't change at all, 7 months later from the debate. That's insane. But no, that's not what I was going to say at all.
Facts don't change, buddy. I don't know what to tell you. The Earth was round 500 years ago, and it's round today. I'm so sorry that I'm consistent in alignment with reality, and you're not. Typically, the only people who have their beliefs oftenly change in the same subjects are those that don't seek truth and just seek whatever's popular or makes them feel good.
Well, that's not the case if you're consistently wrong. Like...
Well, I mean, big talk coming from a small guy saying that I'm consistently wrong when you don't even want to give an argument or a counter argument. I'm waiting though. What's the position? Why do you think men are better at leading than women? You didn't come up here expecting this. I hope you know, before I debated politics, I debated feminism and a lot of like this shit for, like a year straight every day. I loved it. I mean, unfortunately, I don't really do it much anymore because of like changes in the TikTok terms of service. But I actually think it's like easier to argue that Trump is a good president than it is to argue that men are better at leading than women. And I mean, I'm trying to prove that to you, but you won't even give me an argument because you know that you're fucking wrong. How does that feel? Like you told me that you're a friend of Fuentes, you know, or like a fan
you
of
just
Fuentes.
you just muted me twice. How can I give an argument if I can't talk? Like, what is this?
Oh, here we go. I'll
What
mute
are we
myself. Go ahead and talk and
doing?
give me an argument.
Do you promise? I won't get interrupted. I won't get muted. Okay, perfect. All right. I think that men are better leaders than women because men are better at the leadership qualities that the qualities that I attribute to being a good leader, which is, you got to be comfortable taking risks. You got to be decisive. And the whole stress thing that you said, I mean, maybe different types of stress, but not all types of stress. And we'll get into that. But men handle the types of stress that I think are necessary to be a leader. Men are more willing to be violent, which is also important, and they're better protectors. So that's the reason why. And we can see the whole risk thing from men are all these daredevils. They have all these risky careers. They're in the military. They're in security. They're in all these careers that entail risk, and they're comfortable with that, which also requires them to be decisive. So they also handle that stress better of being in that risky career where
Damn, you suck at this.
So that's your argument? You suck.
I'll get into it. Like, you're trying to give
Let's
me an
bring it on.
argument that like men take more risks than women on average because of like the careers they choose. What a terrible argument. You know that there's studies that just prove that men take more risks than women based upon like psychosocial phenomena and like methodical testing taking advantage of like the scientific method. Like there's like so many academic studies out there that will like prove the claim you're trying to make, but you don't want to reference studies. You want to reference like very vague career choices. So that's why I said that like you suck at this. But no, you're right. On average, men do take more risks than women. And I agree. Sometimes some risk can be indicative of being a good leader, but I think that we need to be able to make a distinction between good risk taking or rational risk taking and bad risk taking or irrational risk taking. And I think the reason why we see that pendulum of risk taking being something we see more in men than women on average is because they're more inclined to engage in irrational bad risks, right? And obviously, like irrational bad risks, like possibly sending a nuke to Moscow to prevent Russian expansionism, is not going to be something that we're a fan of. And I mean, we see men take more of these irrational bad risks. They're more likely to gamble, like significantly. Obviously, somebody that spends their life in the casino isn't going to be better at being a leader than your average woman, right? So, I mean, I think we need to consider that. Same thing with drunk driving, reckless driving. I think that we need to be able to examine rational, good risk-taking skills. And I don't think that you're going to be able to give me any evidence that men are more likely to engage in rational risk-taking compared to women. Now, to move on to your second argument of decisiveness.
Well, that wasn't my argument. You addressed...
You did give an argument that men are better at leading than women because they're more risk takers, right?
No, I said that they're more comfortable with taking risks. I think we need to draw that distinction here.
That's what that
means. That's not what it means at all, actually. And I'm going to explain exaccly why.
Is it because they don't consider the fact that it's a risk because they're less likely to engage in rational
I said when we talk about like, all right, you take more risks, I'll definitely I'll agree with you. Like, okay, if you take more risks, it doesn't really make you a better leader because it's a neutral, really. That's what it is. I mean, the risk could be good, the risk could be bad, but I'm talking about being comfortable taking those risks. You can't freak out. You can't, you need to show that you're comfortable taking risks because as a leader, you're going to make risky decisions, and men are more comfortable doing that.
How do you know that men are more comfortable in making rational risks?
They literally like
literally. So your explanation is the word literally. That's cute.
Why are you insulting me so much? I've gotten on this live and I've been nice to you.
I think that my facetious jab calling your counter argument consisting of one word cute is probably going to be the nicest thing I could say to you in the moment. I think that you need to stop being a snowflake.
I got muted again. Very typical, Dean. Very typical.
I'm so sorry for silencing you, man.
Yeah, don't do that. I'm empowered. It's ma'am. It's ma'am, Dean. I'm empowered. Don't silence me. You should know this by now. It's oppressive. White man.
So now, like, your new direction in the debate is to make fun of women empowerment after you failed to give me an argument that men are better at leading than women.
We haven't even gotten into
this dude literally
What are you talking about?
dude gives me a one-word counter argument to the question I asked him of saying literally. Then I'm like, oh, that's cute. And then he starts like making fun of like woman empowerment. Dude, Groypers are like I'm gonna get bad. I just can't say that. But you guys just aren't that smart. Let me tell you.
Well, first of all, I'm not a Groyper. I'm not a complete fan.
No, not a complete
Love the
fan.
guy, but he does say some things that I disagree with.
There you go. Well, do you have an argument?
We
I mean,
haven't
do
even gotten into my other
you
points,
have an argument? I mean, you don't want to finish exploring this one point? My question was, how do you know that men are more likely to engage and take rational risks than women? And then your response was one word. You just said literally.
Okay. I don't really consider that, I just said comfortable taking risks. Whether the risk is rational or not. I mean, sometimes you have to sometimes you got to take irrational risks as a leader.
No, I actually don't think that leaders should be more comfortable in taking irrational risks.
It might seem irrational. I mean, if you're uncomfortable taking what seems like an irrational risk, that's a problem.
No, I don't think that's a problem. Like, I mean, like you were talking about like companies, CEOs, leadership, execs, etc. Like people will get booted off the board if like they're comfortable and are taking all these irrational risks. Like that's what leads to, people losing their life savings in, casinos and getting kicked off the board because they made an investment into the wrong sector at the wrong time just because of a thought in their back of the mind that said it might be beneficial 100 years from now. Decisiveness and risk taking can be important, but only when the risk taking is managed and rational. And if you don't believe me, just go ask any CPA ever, go ask any investment firm ever, go ask any businessman or woman ever.
Well, it's funny. My dad is a businessman, and he'll tell you that you're wrong because the whole idea that you're talking about. I mean, I could even bring this up right now. The 2008 market crash, when people were buying stocks against or bonds and swaps against the housing market, it was deemed an irrational risk. People didn't want a part of it, and boom. But when you're a leader, you have to make those decisions. You have to make those calls.
According to whom was it deemed as an irrational risk to invest into a market at the pit of a collapse?
Yeah, this is prior to the collapse. People didn't want to. Why would you invest into? Why would you?
Prior to the collapse,
the housing. Wait.
Wait. Holy shit! Donald Trump just admitting to having one of his underage masseuses that worked at Mar-a-Lago who's 17 years old. Wait. We are gonna kick you because we got to research this story. Goodbye. It looks like this just broke, everybody, from a text from Parker. Trump says Epstein stole underage victim Virginia G from his Mar-a-Lago spa, leading to a feud. Donald Trump said on Tuesday that he ended his friendship with Epstein because his disgraced financiers stole young women working at Mar-a-Lago spa too many times. What? He confirmed that Epstein took people that work for me and so again, despite being admonished to not poach Mar-a-Lago workers by Trump. He, Epstein, took people that work for me, and I told him, don't do it anymore. And he said, and he did it. I said, stay the hell out of here. What do you mean, took people? What does that even mean? What? And his response was to say, don't do that anymore? Because if he's like taking like these girls to like sexually exploit, traffic, rape, like why would Trump's response be, don't do it anymore? Also using words of like saying like, quote unquote, poached. What does that even mean? Huh. I don't see. Is this like a breaking story? Did this just come out? So Parker sent this over to me. It looks like this was published like a couple minutes ago. But I've Matt sending me a text saying that he's known this for a couple days. So is this old news? Is this new news? This is yesterday's news? Okay, I'm hearing about this. It was out earlier today. What's up, Parker? Sorry, not Parker. Santan, I saw your text. Is this new?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, no. I just saw that you were in the request. Do you know anything about this?
Yeah, I just got it in real time, was reading over it as well. Was about to try to find more information about it. But the interesting thing from this is like reading the article, it highlighted the fact that he hired young people away from him, and he kept getting upset because Epstein was hiring young people away from him, or specifically hiring people away from him. The 17-year-old was hired from Trump to Epstein. So
Interesting.
I'm like real. I got it at the same time as you, and so I'm looking through it right now.
Okay.
Uh,
All right. Well, if you happen to figure out any more information about this, feel free to come up here and let us know. I think maybe for the moment I'm just going to move on to the debate. So I mean, it could develop a little bit.
yeah, just an FYI, like everything that I'm seeing, it looks like this is like really new. Like everything that because there's a couple of different articles, and the oldest one that I'm seeing, I don't understand how no one saw this yesterday, but like PBS ran an article about it yesterday.
I'm going to go ahead and just
She said, "Oh, you're beautiful."
turn on some MSNBC real quick.
Who she did know, who owned Victoria's Secret. It was all very credible. And then she trapped them and also molested them. And I feel like that needs to be told more and more, is that she was involved in this.
I actually cannot play that. It'll get the stream banned.
Yeah,
I appreciate you so much.
I'm gonna see if I can find more. I'll let you know. But like everything that I'm seeing, like there's the independent. Reuters has something an hour ago. Like local news has things within like last 30, 40 minutes, but PBS has something from yesterday, but that's like it. So this is really new.
Okay, I'm actually going to try to find a Trump's statements on it.
Yeah. All right. I'll let you know. I'll send you if I find something.
Okay, have a good one, man.
Yep.
All right, yeah, let's try to pull up what Trump was saying about this yesterday. I'm looking for the link right now. Okay, yeah, this looks like this is coming from here's a 2-minute clip. Let's just see what they have to say in this 2-minute clip here real quick.
I wouldn't talk to Jeffrey Epstein.
President Donald Trump attempted to distance himself from Jeffrey Epstein again.
I don't want like the reporting. I don't want to hear anybody else talk. I wish that like more like news channels would just like supply like raw clips of this shit. You know what I mean? Like I don't want like the coverage of like a news reporter speaking over the clip. I want just
all of the things that we all want.
Mr. President, you have said that you have not been briefed on the Epstein files, or your name has not appeared in the Epstein files. But doesn't the AG have to tell you if your name is...
Well, I haven't been overly interested in it. You know, it's a hoax that's been built up way beyond proportion. I can say this, those files were run by the worst scum on earth. They were run by Comey, they were run by Garland, they were run by Biden and all of the people that actually ran the government, including the auto pen. Those files were run for 4 years by those people. If they had anything, I assume they would have released it. The whole thing is a hoax. They ran the files. I was running against somebody that ran the files. If they had something, they would have released. Now, they can easily put something in the files that's a phony. Like, as an example, Christopher Steele, a person you know well, happens to be from your country. But Christopher Steele, as an example, wrote a book, a dossier. We call it the fake news dossier. And the whole thing was a fake. The whole thing was a fake. They can put things in the file that are fake. But those files were run by bad, sick people. If they had anything, why didn't they use it when I was killing Joe and then he gave out because he was 25 points down? And then I got somebody new. Nobody even knew anything about her. She was a horrible vice president. She was a border czar, but she never went to the border. She never once called a border patrol agent to find out how we're doing. But she was the border czar. Her name was Kamala. Nobody knows her last name. It was Harris. But nobody knew her last name. So I ended up, how would you like to end up in a race where you're killing somebody, you're beating him, and then they say, all right, we'll take him out. He's not working. Let's put somebody else. And then she had a 6-week honeymoon. It was amazing. They predicted she will have a 6-week honeymoon, and she did. And then she got slaughtered. But think of it. Those files were run by these people. They were run by my enemy. If there was anything in there, they would have used them for the election. Yeah.
Do you think that drawing, I think I heard you say something the other day, that the drawing that was the subject of the Wall Street Journal report.
I don't do drawings. I'm not a drawing person.
Do you think it was fraudulent?
I don't do drawings. Sometimes people say, would you draw a building? And I'll draw 4 lines and a little roof, you know, for a charity stuff. But I'm not a drawing person. I don't do drawings of women, that I can tell you. They say there's a drawing of a woman, and I don't do drawings of women. And also, you know, Epstein was always a very controversial guy.
Dude, he's just yapping. Like, what the fuck? Okay, he's about to start talking about Epstein. Well, I was just getting ready to talk it off. I was just getting ready to turn it off because he's just like literally like yapping. But let's see what he has to say about Epstein.
I was at a very high position, you know, pretty much all my life. In all fairness, I've been doing this for a long time. I had the top show on television. I had the #1 bestsellers. I had everything, right? And I was a very successful business guy. He was a very controversial. Who would do a controversial drawing? Now, with that being said, they say there were many letters done by many people, and many big people, you know, big successful people. But I just don't. When you talk about files, I just keep going back, and other people too. Even the enemy says this thing is not correct, because if we had it, we would have used it on the guy. It's a bad issue. They say it's a good issue for Trump. Do you know that my poll numbers are up 4.5 points since this ridiculous Epstein stuff? My poll numbers have gone up 4.5 points because people don't buy it. Okay, people don't buy it.
Basically, like the culmination of this is him calling Democrats enemies, saying that it's a big hoax and he's so popular. I also don't think that this is the clip that we're referencing. I think it's, I heard that it was an audio clip from Air Force One that we're supposed to be watching. So if anybody in my Discord has that clip from like Air Force One, feel free to go ahead and drop that in the Discord. I'm going to be in the live channels here here in a second to grab it so we could all listen to it together. It doesn't have a video. Yeah, it's just audio. Yeah, let's try to find that audio real quick, and then we'll get back to the debates. But I want to listen to this audio where he's talking about Epstein and whatnot with you guys super duper quickly. So give me like 30 seconds here to pull it up. You know, because I'm reading the reporting. I'm not going to understand. I'm not going to lie. I don't really understand the reporting on the surface level. It kind of seems like all over the place. Oh, looks like somebody in the Discord already has the video pulled up. Whoever you are, thank you. Phenomenal. All right, so we have the audio. We're going to go and listen to it.
Just curious, were some of the workers that were taken from you, were some of them young women?
Were some of them
young women?
Well, I don't want to say, but
Can you guys hear that all right? Or is that like absurdly quiet?
everyone knows the people that were taken. And it was the concept of taking people that work for me is bad. But that story's been pretty well out there. And the answer is yes, they were.
Yes, they were young women?
In the spa.
In the spa?
Yeah, people that work in the spa. I have a great spa, one of the best spas in the world at Mar-a-Lago. And people were taken out of the spa, hired by him. In other words, gone. And other people would come and complain, this guy is taking people from the spa. I didn't know that. And then when I heard about it, I told him, I said, listen, we don't want you taking our people, whether it was spa or not spa. I don't want them taking people. And he was fine, and then not too long after that, he did it again, and I said, out of here.
Mr. President, did one of those stolen,
Here's my question. So, I mean, it sounds like what he's describing here is like taking the workers in the sense of like hiring them himself. And like I understand, like you're running a big business, like you have employees, like you have a friend that is also like a big businessman. If they like quote unquote steal your workers from you, like okay, like oh well, you shouldn't do that. But he says at the end of the clip there that because of this, he ended up like rejecting Epstein and throwing him out. That tells me that Trump probably knew what Epstein was doing with those girls. You know what I mean? Let's go ahead and listen to the rest. I just had to add that on real quick.
person? Does that include Virginia Jeffrey?
I don't know. I think she worked at the spa. I think so. I think that was one of the people. Yeah. He stole her. And by the way, she had no complaints about us, as you know. None whatsoever.
Yeah, so it just goes on to say that he quote unquote stole Virginia. And he was like framing his reaction to that. Oh, we threw Epstein out. We no longer let him in Mar-a-Lago because he was stealing all these young girls. I think that informs me that he knew what he was doing with the young girls. I mean, I don't really see like what other conclusions we could yield here, if I'm being honest. That is like highly suspicious, very, very fucking creepy. And I think that my honest take is that here soon we're gonna see like the rest of this the story drop, and it's all gonna piece together, and it's gonna make sense, and Trump is gonna drown. Anyways, that's my commentary on it. Why would he like ban Epstein from Mar-a-Lago for hiring some of his employees? Unless he knew what he was doing with them. We're going to move on to the next guest. If you're in the queue, make sure that you're at least 18 years old. You support Donald J. Trump. And you want to come up here and have a debate. We're going to go to get that next guest up here. But, I mean, guys, the Epstein files are... I don't know. I think that we're going to see a big drop soon. We're learning that Trump lied about not knowing he was on them. He's now calling them a hoax. He's like now threatening to prosecute Obama, Kamala, Oprah, Beyonce. I mean, it sounds like he's just creating all of these distractions. He's saying that nobody cares. They're all just a hoax. Like, I wonder what we're going to end up finding out here. You know what I mean? I wonder. I do. But let's go to get that next guest up here. Go to put a MAGA down below in that chat with your age if you do want to come up and have a dialogue with me today. Let's go to get that next guest W up here. Let's see here. Oh my God, Randy!
Yo, Dean, you're the fucking goats. I love you, twin.
I appreciate you for that love, man. Yo, Randy, I appreciate you so much for the $100 donation over on Venmo. Jeez, Randy, that is so incredibly kind of you. Randy has some kind words as well. Randy says, Randy, keep it up, Dean. I've learned so much. Your generation is giving me some hope. You know what, Randy? I hope that my generation ends up turning out all right. I think that we've seen a pretty heavy drain on the men in my generation to the right. Natasha, I didn't mean to invite you. Just don't accept it. But I'm hoping that, kind of what we do here is working to help hopefully get some more people in my generation back to the left. Thank you, Randy. That is Randi, everybody. Thank you so much. As well as Jessica, thank you for the $10 over on Venmo. I appreciate you for your kindness. Brittany, thank you for the $10 over on PayPal. Guys, thank you so much for the love. And then this was 42 minutes ago, but Dania, thank you so much for the $10 over on Venmo. And then also real quick, Marty, thank you for the $15 over on PayPal. Thank you, Marty. Marty says, keep it up, man. I appreciate you for the love as well as the rest of your kind message. I appreciate you. Show some love to Marty. Dylan with a 5, Abigail with a 5, and Sabrina with a 5. I appreciate you, everyone, so much for the love. And then just one last thing here. Jazz Music, thank you for the $50 super chat over on YouTube. Jazz, thank you. That is insane. Thank you so much, Jazz. Thank you for your kindness. Jazz says, Dean, your shout out made my day. Bro, I mean, you had some good insight. I have a tremendous amount of respect for you. Your theological debate yesterday with the anti-abortion preacher was a masterclass, as most of your debates are. Love how your brain works. Much love, man. Much love to you, Jazz. Everybody, show some love to Jazz and all the other kind donors down below in that chat while we're hopping into the next conversation here. Welcome in, Gio. Do you support Trump?
Yeah, I do.
Gio, why is that?
Well, I supported Bernie in 2016.
Okay, big switch here. So what led you from a democratic socialist to a fascist?
I think that the DNC is flawed. I think that they are in a place where someone who can make big good changes to the country is unable to. And I feel like we need America to see the destruction that Trump will cause.
You are not a smart guy. You are not a smart guy at all. You're the opposite of what a smart guy is.
Why
That
do you
is
say that?
crazy. Because I agree, the DNC is flawed in so many ways. You'd be surprised by the amount of disdain that I hold in my heart for the DNC and a lot of people in it. Okay, but to sit over here and say that therefore we need a fascist to run the country to point out these flaws is completely ridiculous. No, what you need to do is get people to be more aware of the flaws in the DNC so we know who to vote for and against in the midterms in the next presidential election. And I think that we already see this happening with people like Zohran Mamdani out in NYC. What we don't do is install a fascist in the Oval Office to further regress this country while proactively taking more attention away from the DNC and getting moderate liberals to accept more shortfallings from the DNC because then they could just say, but Trump. I just think this is a terrible argument.
Yeah, I can completely understand why someone would think that. But I think there's. Would you agree that there's a problem with echo chambers in our current with the emergence of short form content and the way that things are now?
I'm not going to answer your question because I want you to be able to address the argument I gave you to demonstrate that you have no reason to support Trump.
Yeah. I mean, I think that I don't think there's a way that through promoting the good things that the DNC could do, I don't think there's any way that the people that we need to support.
So do you still support Trump?
I support him being in the White House.
Okay. Yeah. I don't think that you have any grounds to take any issue with the DNC.
Why not?
Yeah, because you're telling us that the DNC has these flaws, yet you support a literal fascist in the Oval Office. No grounds.
Yeah, I mean, how else are we gonna? I don't think there's been any success in the methods that you've illuminated because he's in the Oval Office.
Okay, why do you care about shortfallings in the DNC?
Because I want someone like Bernie or Marianne to be
why?
able to. Because I agree with their policies.
Oh, so in other words, you think it's because if the DNC was better equipped, they'd better serve the American people. So you ultimately care about how the American people are served?
Yeah, absolutely.
How are the American people being served with Trump in the Oval Office?
I think that he can't do enough damage in the 4 years that he has to fully break America.
Yeah, imagine if you were a woman in 10 of our red states where they ban access to abortion from rape victims and you got raped yesterday and you figure out in 3 weeks from now that you're pregnant. And the only reason why you can't access health care is because of Donald Trump's appointments to SCOTUS. It sounds like a pretty privileged take to me.
Yeah, I can see why you'd say that. But at the same time, like, if it's not, do you think that Trump is like the only person that would have done what Trump did? Do you not think that, to me, Trump isn't.
All right, have a good one, man. We're going to move on to the next case here, everybody. Yeah, I mean, we come across people like that all the time where they are so progressive that they just kind of go through the horseshoe theory and end up on the other side. I absolutely believe in like the political horseshoe theory, and that was my evidence. He was like so progressive that he turned out to be pro-Trump because of how progressive he is. I just think it's a fundamentally flawed way of thinking that is exclusionary of the ways in which so many individuals in this country have been hurt by the Trump administration. And it's just so sad to see, and I really do think that he needs a reality check, you know? Imagine if he was a woman, how would he be feeling? Imagine if he was an immigrant, how would he be feeling? Imagine that he's been subject to an illegal deportation and was beaten, tortured, and CCOT for 3 weeks. How would he be feeling? Imagine if he was a legal green card holder and was kept up in an ICE detention center for 3 months. How would he be feeling? Imagine if he worked for, any of like the media organizations that have now been targeted by Trump, like CBS, NBC, CNN in 2022, AP, the Wall Street Journal, etc. How would he be feeling? It's just because he is in a position where he isn't personally immediately impacted negatively by the administration that he says, well, I'm going to virtue signal and act like I care about people and good policy for this country, and I'm just going to act like the fascist in the Oval Office isn't doing enough harm, and any of the harm that he is causing is ultimately inconsequential to my goals. Very, very, very terrible take. Welcome in, Taylor. Do you support Trump?
Hey, Trump said he never had the pleasure of going to Epstein's island. Don't know if you'd seen that.
I did see that. Do you support him?
Lovely. No, and I hate when people do this.
All right. I hope you have a good rest of your day. I did see that yesterday. Yeah, every time he talks about Epstein, he just makes it worse for himself, and he loves to talk. So, I'm happy he's making it worse for himself. Welcome in, Kyle. How old are you?
34.
34. Do you support Trump?
I mean, I'm kind of on the fence, but he has some pretty good takes on how to make our country better by increasing our workflow. As automation continues to expand, jobs are going
Can
to
you
be
disconnect
limited.
any type of Bluetooth
So
device that
there
you're
are
connected
some.
to your phone?
Oh yeah.
There you are. So why do you support Trump?
So he create more
nice.
jobs.
Sorry, Kyle. I had to kick you. Nope, he's still There he goes. Oh. Sorry, Kyle. I had to kick you. Your internet is really, really bad, and we couldn't make out literally anything that you said. I apologize, man. Hope you have a good rest of your day, though. Welcome in, Useless. Do you support Trump? Useless Farm, hello?
Total accident. That was actually my duck that. So sorry.
No worries at all. No worries at all. I hope you have a good rest of your day. I hope you have a good rest of your day. I was looking at their page. They have like 5 million followers, and they post a bunch of like farm content. So I fully believe that, they had a duck hit the butt. It's really funny. We're gonna move on to the next guest. Here we go, everyone. Just give us a minute. Yo, Denise, thank you so much for the $50 donation over on PayPal. Denise, that is so kind of you. Denise, thank you. Thank you so much for the love. Denise with the $50. Denise says, give me a second, Denise. Hello, Steven. How old are you?
I'm 48.
You have like a headphone, something connected to your phone here, making it really hard for us to hear you. If you could disconnect any and all Bluetooth devices that you have connected to your phone so you don't sound like you're scuba diving, that'd be sick. Now, while you're doing that, I also want to read out Denise's message here real quick. Denise says, Trump is a textbook example of a malignant narcissist. While today Trump's discussion of poaching the quote-unquote employees, he speaks transactionally. Everything and everyone is transactional supply to his dark triad personality. He has no consciousness. Denise, I want to be your friend. You sound like a very intelligent person. Can we show some love to Denise down below in that comment section right the hell now? And then also, Alyssa, thank you for the $10 over on Super Chat. Ruben, thank you for the 100 and OK. And ACH, thank you for the 200 units of whatever currency that is. I'm not too sure what currency it is, but just know that I appreciate you. Now, Stefan, welcome in. Do you support Trump?
Absolutely.
Bro, no, you shouldn't support him. He's the worst president of your life. Why the hell do you support Trump as president?
Well, because I think you're educated far beyond your intelligence. As the economy continues to soar, as the border stays closed, and as everything in our lives get better every single day, you still sit up here and preach fascism as if. I mean, he meets the 14 facets. You're insane.
You support Trump because I'm insane. Sir, I've heard it all, but that one has to be one of the worst arguments I've ever heard.
I mean, I support Trump because of what he's doing.
Oh, okay. What is he doing that you like? What are you a big fan of?
Well, you realize no one crossed the border, right?
That's not true.
You also realize that we brought in, what, $27 billion last month in tariffs, and it's headed toward $300 billion.
I also don't think that's true, but hey, I mean, I'll still listen.
How can it not be true? I mean, the money's either there or it's not.
Because the $27 billion figure I heard reported from the administration was like a surplus of the month. I don't think that like the tariff would be the only thing generating said surplus, if that surplus even exists in the first place, because their administration has a tendency to lie.
Let's just say it's zero. Let's compare it to last year.
I do want to quickly ask you, do you think that our government making money off of tariffs is a good thing? Because I think it's a bad thing. And the reason I think it's a bad thing is because once those goods that are tariffed are in the market, inevitably it is the American consumer that's paying for them. So in other words, it's just a regressive tax that poor people are disproportionately paying. Why would I support a regressive tax on poor people?
But that's not true, because prices are steadily down.
Actually,
and inflation remains a constant.
We've seen core inflation slightly rise. But once again, that's on the macro scale. When we isolate for these specific products that have been impacted by tariffs, we have seen their prices increase. Not to mention that there's just a bunch of like pausing and resuming on the tariffs. So like we never really know what products are going to be hit and which products aren't going to be hit. But like, for instance, the chairman of the Fed, Jerome Powell, did say he was going to cut the rate at which he was cutting rates, like interest rates and whatnot, because of the inflationary effects he expects to see from Donald Trump's tariffs.
Now, you don't typically cut rates on an economy that is absolutely soaring. The only reason to cut rates right now is because of the housing market. And the housing market is seeing a hold right now due to interest rates.
So like interest rates are cut when inflation is low and they're increased when inflation is high. They're just a tool that our Federal Reserve uses to, by proxy, control consumer spending.
I understand interest rates quite well. I also don't care for the Democrats' view on immigration. I like the fact that Trump is deporting non-documented immigrants.
Okay.
I think they are
name one way that this country materially benefits from a mass deportation.
Well, because it's a net loss. I know that you like to preach, oh, well, they bring in $100 billion in tax revenue. Yeah, and it also costs $59 billion a year just to educate them. It costs $37 billion a year in our ERs. It costs $27 billion a year to chase them around the country. It's a net loss.
I'll respond
There's
to
been several studies.
I'll respond to all three of the points that you just made. You said it costs around $50 billion to educate them. It costs around $30 billion to serve them in our ERs. Then it costs like $30 billion to chase them around the country. So the last cost of the $30 billion, that's a cost that's incurred from deportation, and it's a little bit more than that. It's projected to, it costs around $88 billion to $100 billion per year to do a mass deportation, and that's an expense being incurred by an operation that you support, you hypocrite. Now to your second point, that they cost our ERs $37 billion per year. I think that Medicaid expenses around $18 billion per year for all insured people using emergency rooms, which includes uninsured citizens. So I'm not sure where you're getting that $37 billion figure from. Then from your first claim saying that it costs $50 billion per year to educate the children of undocumented immigrants. Fun fucking fact, the children of undocumented immigrants born in this country are citizens.
Not necessarily the ones born in this country, my friend.
Necessarily. Yes, necessarily that every single child of an undocumented immigrant born in this country is a citizen, yes.
And what is changing with that right now?
Nothing. Nothing is changing with that right now. That's our 14th Amendment, buddy. At least part of it.
Well, do you understand that they're here because of immigration? Now, whether the fact the law let them skirt around being legal or not is a totally different conversation. But do you understand that they're here because of immigration? So that the drain on the economy is because of the illegal immigration?
Just like the drain on the economy of educating children born to natural U.S.-born citizens is because of birth. So if you think that's a reason to restrict immigration, would you also say the net loss we have on like young Americans, American children born to American parents, and the fact that birth needs to be restricted too? Or are you going to recognize that every penny we spend on education for children in this country is not a penny we will get back immediately, but it's rather an investment into them and into the future of this country, because ultimately, with a better education, we will produce higher skilled laborers.
It's a direct result of illegal immigration, period. Their parents came here. How they got here, it's irrelevant. It's a direct cause. We would not have the expense if it were not for illegal immigration, period. That's how that works.
Just like the money that we spend on other American students in school is a direct cause of birth of American citizens. Should we restrict birth too?
See, no, you're pivoting.
Wait, no, it's an analogy because you're using this as an argument to say that we need to restrict said immigration. So wouldn't this also imply that therefore we need to restrict birth?
Well, then let's take the same argument to crime, right? Switch the same argument to crime. If an immigrant comes here and commits a crime, it would not have happened if they had not broken our law to be here. Is that not true?
Wow! If they weren't here in the first place, they wouldn't have committed that crime in America. Dude, honestly, you're blowing my mind, man. That is true.
Okay, switch the argument right.
Oh, you cut out there. Hello.
Switch right back to the argument that we were discussing. If their parents had not come here illegally,
I don't think that you really care about crime.
$50 billion a year. Oh, are you going to pivot now to Donald Trump because, the Democratic Party attacked him?
No, I mean, I definitely can bring that up, how Trump is a criminal, and that wouldn't be a pivot, it would be conceptually relevant. Now, the reason why I'm telling you I don't think that you really care about crime is because undocumented immigrants are A, less likely to commit crime, B, only account for 1% of crime, meanwhile men account for 90% of violent crime, and you've never talked about that fact, and then C, if we were to do a mass deportation, we'd actually see more total nominal crime in this country because of the negative effects of mass deportation on poverty rates through weakening our economy. That's why I say that you don't care about crime. Now, if I want to paint the picture that you're a hypocrite, that one's easy. You put a felon in the Oval Office. Simple undocumented entry is nothing more than a misdemeanor. So it's funny that you care about one misdemeanor more than 34 felony counts for something that should require less qualifications to achieve. Not to mention that Donald Trump has pardoned violent offenders like DJ Rodriguez, who tried to kill a cop by driving a stun gun into their neck on J6, and you haven't said a peep, and you still consider yourself MAGA. I just think at the end of the day, you don't really care about these things, A, for the reasons I described, and B, you're a raging fucking hypocrite because of the second argument I made.
I'm a raging immigrant. I work with immigrants every single day. I'm a contractor here in the state of Florida.
Are you driving?
No, I'm sitting in a car because I'm on a job site.
Okay.
If you were to look at my TikTok, you'll see I employ immigrants every single day. We sponsor them. We bring them here legally. They do it the right way. And you know what? They're MAGA as well.
So you're saying that there's some immigrants out there that vote against their best interests? I don't think that this speaks towards how good or bad. I don't think this speaks towards how good of a President Trump is. I think this speaks towards how much he's been able to take advantage of propaganda in American media. Also, if you want to make the argument that you could identify immigrants that are MAGA, therefore Donald Trump is good for immigrants. Well, I think it was 93% of Black Americans that voted for Harris and voted against Trump. Does this mean that you think that Donald Trump is really bad for Black Americans?
No, but I think you should hear things from the horse's mouth.
So then why would you say that because you could identify immigrants that are MAGA, that means he's good for immigrants, even though I could identify a vast majority of Black Americans that are against MAGA? Wouldn't this imply the opposite?
What percentage of Hispanics voted for Republicans this time, Dean?
I don't know the stats of Hispanic.
And why was there such a huge switch this time? If they're voting against their best interest, do you just find them stupid?
Well, I mean, I already went over the effect and byproduct of the exploitation of propaganda in American media. I don't think all people are stupid. I think that most people, regardless of...
No, they're not stupid. They recognize 2% inflation from 9.2% inflation.
Bruh, you're going to let me finish making an argument before you talk about inflation. Because now if I respond to that argument, I point out the simple fact that the reason we saw much inflation in America was because of the pandemic, and it was not local, it was global, and we actually had the best comeback from said inflation compared to any other country in the G7. And we were actually expecting less inflation if Kamala Harris won, because one, her policy was less expensive, and two, Donald Trump's policy is directly inflationary through tools such as tariffs. I'm completely detracting away from the argument that I did want to make by you calling out the fact that we've seen a massive increase in the amount of Hispanic voters that support Trump. That must mean that Trump's good for Hispanic voters. You didn't respond to my counter argument by suggesting that because 93% of Black voters don't support Trump and haven't in the last 3 elections, this must mean that Donald Trump is bad for Black Americans, yet you denied that conclusion, meaning that you are contradicting yourself by holding the conclusion that he's good for Hispanic Americans because 54% of them supported him. But I don't know. I guess I just responded to all the arguments you gave, even the ones that you tried to make when I was mid-sentence in interrupting me by trying to gish gallop and overwhelm me with points. Guess what? My brain is big. I could remember everything that you said, and I was able to refute it all.
I would use your same argument. The Democratic Party have been using Black people for years and years.
So now you're not.
It's a known fact.
You're not going to respond to that. You're not going to. You never responded to the argument that I gave you to demonstrate that mass deportation would have caused more crime. B, you never responded to the argument that I gave you about how you don't focus on the fact that men commit 90% of crimes. Instead, you focus on the fact that undocumented immigrants commit 1. C, you didn't respond to my argument detailing you as a hypocrite because you support a president that's guilty of 34 felonies, held civilly liable for rape, and has personally pardoned people that attempted to kill cops on J6. D, B, you didn't respond to my argument, showing you to be, a logical mess because you're saying because more Hispanic individuals voted for Trump than not in this election, it must mean that he's good for them, even though you don't think that Donald Trump is bad for black Americans, even though over 90% of them voted against him. Instead of E, you just like to make a whole new argument saying that Democrats have exploited black Americans. Honestly, man, I'm going to need you to convince me that if I give this argument a response, you're actually going to address it instead of just pivoting, dodging, and running away from it like you have the last literally 5 points I've made.
Every undocumented immigrant that's in this country has already committed a crime, and they don't continue to commit crimes because if they do get captured, then they get deported. And that's pretty
And what argument did I make that this responds to?
I'm responding to the fact that you say undocumented immigrants commit less crimes.
Okay, so
That's not true because 100% of them have already committed one.
So I'm talking about crimes committed in the country, silly goose.
Yeah, when they came into the country, they committed a crime. It's our law, therefore it's in our country
the statistic
that it was broken.
The statistic is excluding the misdemeanor of undocumented entry.
So, why are we excluding?
Yeah, because you're talking about the crimes that they commit when they're already in the country. The original framing of this position was addressing you saying that they come in this country and commit crimes, right? Such as like rape, murder, stealing, like eating pets and dogs, or like raping wives. So obviously, right, the context in which the conversation is framed is talking about once they're already in the country, right, in our 50 states, you're saying that they are committing all these crimes that are hurting American citizens. All right,
that's not what I said, and obviously your brain's not
the framing of the conversation suggests a sense of crime that would exclude undocumented entry on its own, but would rather be crimes committed against American citizens that are making our streets less safe or whatever the fuck.
Well, your brain's not that big because actually what I said was none of the crime that they commit would happen if they were not here.
Oh, then maybe obviously you didn't hear my response by arguing that mass deportation will only cause higher crime rates and a higher total nominal amount of crimes by weakening our economy and increasing poverty. So if your whole deal here is just reducing the overall amount of crimes in this country, you would never support mass deportation because it will only cause more total crimes.
Okay, I'll talk to him right now. Hold on. Okay, I gotta go. I actually have to talk to an immigration attorney. Have a good day.
All right, we're going to move on to the next guest. Here we go, everybody. Let's go and see who's next. If you are watching and you want to support me, help me pay for my therapy. But after these dense-ass guests, you can find my Venmo, my PayPal, and the link tree in my bio. But we're going to move on to the next guest. Here we go. I'm not enjoying these people today. They're pretty tough. They're pretty dense, not too fun to talk to, quite frankly. It doesn't even look like we have too many people in the guest request. So right now we have like 7,000 people in the TikTok stream. There's like 10 people in the queue. And I'm going to go ahead and assume that most of the people in the queue are trolls. Welcome in, D-Sport Trump. Yo, Woot Woot, please hop in that queue. I'd love to chat. Woot Woot, if you do want to come up, you just have to take your account off private. All right, Jason's not here. But Woot Woot, seriously, if you want to come up, just take your account off private, then hop in the queue. I'll happily have a chat. Moving on to the next guest here. Hello, do you support Trump?
Hello. I don't, but I love you, Dean. You're so good.
I appreciate you for your kindness. Let's going to move on to Lucas. Here we go, everyone. What's up? Do you support Trump?
Hey, Dean.
Wow.
I like your hair.
Very impressive, Lucas. Very nice. All right, moving on to our next guest. If you're watching and you want to come up, let me know down below in that queue. I'll happily load you up. We're going to go and get Ice Cream Bears up here. Damn, bro, we've only been live for 2 hours? These last 2 hours have been taxing because it feels much longer than that. Hello, Ice Cream Bears. Do you support Trump?
Oh, no. that was an accident. My bad.
Oh, no worries at all, man. No worries at all. We may try to do a restart on the stream. Possibly. Let's see here. Yo, Seb, thank you for the $5 over on Venmo saying hair's looking good today, brother. Yo, thank you. I've been doing something new with it, paying a little bit more attention to it. So I appreciate you for that love, Seb. And then also Haley, thank you for the $5 over on Venmo. Haley says, found you through my mom years ago. She loves you and watches you every day. If you could give her a shout out for her birthday today, her name is Gail. Dude, Gail, if you're listening in, happy birthday. I hope you live it up. And shout out to your amazing daughter, Haley. Shout out to Gail and happy freaking birthday. And holy shit, yo, Amy with a $65 donation over on PayPal. Amy, that is insane. Thank you. That is so much money. Holy shit. Amy says, haven't donated in a bit, but I wanted to make sure you knew Charlie Kirk is going to be featured in a new South Park episode. Oh, that's so funny. I know exactly how they're going to draw his caricature. That's going to be great. Amy, thank you for telling me. Everybody, show some love to Amy down below in that comment section right now, not only for the $65 donation. That is a huge donation, but also for the really cool update. It looks like he is going to be. Oh, dude. I have a picture up here right now. Oh, man, this is great because this is exactly what he looks like, too. I'm actually going to go ahead and pull it up on the TikTok live stream real quick. For everybody on YouTube, if you want to see it, just type up Charlie Kirk South Park and you'll see it. This is a screenshot of apparently what he's supposed to look like inside of the South Park episode. That's so funny. And the people that he has behind him, like IRL, like his bodyguards, actually look identical to that motherfucker right there. I think that's PC Principal. Apparently, like, he's already like embracing it and has made it his profile picture on X. Yeah, he made it his profile picture on X. Oh my gosh. Oh, looks like we have a teaser of it too. Let's listen.
On an Wednesday, August 6th.
You can just shut up, baby, because you hate America and you love abortion.
On an all-new South Park. The epic season continues.
We want to honor the president's courage.
Stop. South Park. New episode Wednesday, August 6th at 10 on Comedy Central.
Dude, I fucking love South Park. For really just digging into the right. I mean, out of like all the time they could be spending on this content that they're putting out, I'm happy that they're just digging into the right with it, you know. They did that with the first episode of the season, and I think that you know, they ended up seeing some really good returns for that. Obviously, the episode blew the fuck up. So now they're just gonna continue with it. I think that's great. I think that's great. He's trying to get ahead of the bullying by making it his PF piece as somebody over on YouTube. I agree. No, he's just like fully embracing it, making it a joke. I mean, that's like the best PR response that he could have. I wish they put me in South Park. You know, that'd be fun. One of these days, chat. One of these days. Anyways, we're gonna go ahead and do a quick restart on TikTok for everybody in here. I'm gonna be right back, y'all. I'm just gonna do a super quick restart. I think that we need to do restart in order to get the stream to push out for the remainder of our 4 hours here. If you want to know how to come back, just real quick, make sure you hit that follow button. That's one way to ensure that you're coming back. But then also, once the stream ends and you see my profile picture pop up on your phone screen, just click on it and then go to my account and count to 10 and then refresh and you'll see the glowing orb of my profile picture. Every single time I restart, a lot of y'all just don't come back. So, I mean, if you're one of those people that doesn't plan to come